Will you please call roll?
Councilmember Hatfield?
Here.
Councilmember Benish?
Here.
Councilmember Shevlin?
Here.
Councilmember Grah?
Here.
Mayor Hubbard?
Here. All right, that moves us along to adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes or corrections?
I was just wondering if we wanted to move action item E and make it action item A, since we have members that applied in the audience, they don't have to sit through everything else.
Is that something that, does a public hearing has to come before that, or is that something that we can do? Okay, all right, so we have a motion to move 8E up above 8A. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, a second by, so motion from Councilmember Hatfield, second from Councilmember Benish. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
I would suggest that the item that Matt Hickner is here for, that we move to the very end. So.
Whatever.
Double
No. I don't know. I should have had you sing the national anthem, I guess.
It's a bit spicy today.
Any other discussion on or changes on the agenda? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda, right? Yes.
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
All right, so a motion from Councilmember Shevlin.
Second.
And a second from Councilmember Grah. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, agenda has been approved. And that moves us along to visitor presentations. Visitor presentations for anything that's not on a council agenda item tonight. Does anybody in the audience want to come up and speak to anything that's not on the agenda? I do see somebody maybe in a uniform in the very back. Are we here to attend the meeting as part of a project at all? So we love to just gently put those folks on the spot. Come on up here, sir, and introduce yourself and tell us what troop you're with. You picked a fun one tonight. Oh, right up here. You got it.
I'm Sam Cervilla, and I'm part of Troop 174. Just coming here for a merit badge.
All right, wonderful. And what rank level are you at with Troop 174?
First class.
Okay, all right. And what is your favorite thing about being in the Scouts?
Probably just doing activities with friends.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. I know this is highly embarrassing, so I really appreciate you coming down. I think your mom is getting most enjoyment out of this. But thank you for coming. Hopefully you learned some things. We're always happy to answer any questions that you have from this. It's kind of a wonderful learning experience. So thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anybody else in the audience like to come down and tell me anything? All right, well that moves us right along off of visitor presentation to approval of the previous meeting minutes. These meeting minutes were from June 1st, 2026. I would entertain a motion for approval unless anybody has any corrections or additions.
Motion to approve previous meeting minutes.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Benish.
Second.
A second from Councilmember Shevlin. Any other discussion? All right, approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, minutes are approved. All right, that moves us along to consent items. We have a lot of them tonight. Does anybody have any, and consent items are things that receive little to no discussion, although something can certainly be pulled off consent for a larger discussion. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to talk about on the consent?
I was just going to always take the opportunity when we're appointing election judges to thank election judges for what they do, because that's such an important role, and I'm always just so glad that people step up to take it, and it's a long day, but they get it done and allow us all to vote, and that's really amazing. So that, and then also there's a lot of exciting things in this consent agenda. So of course the architect for the library, and then welcoming Riverbend Cellars and Spirits to downtown. There's all sorts of very exciting things in here. So
yeah,
those are just my quick comments.
Yeah, I happened to see Kendra Olson yesterday and talked about just the hard work that staff does to make the elections happen. So it is exciting to see that be on the agenda tonight. So I did have a couple of things talking about action item G, the water treatment plant. I was asking Matt earlier today about the bidding process. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more to that.
Yeah, so when we went out to bid, our estimates were probably about the $15.5 million range. What we got for low bid was about $17 million. It was higher than what our estimates were, but was within the parameters that we had set for the financing. So we do feel good that we can support that that level of debt. The one thing, sometimes we'll give some consideration to saying, should we scrap the bids and go out to rebid? We did a lot of look at that, and it became very clear to us that the $17 million bid was a very good value. If you look at sort of where the rest of the bids fell in the mix, they were really in sort of that $19.5 million range, and there was a slew of them. And I'm confident, given sort of where we're at with being able to get supplies and contractors, that what we saw is going to be the lowest we see, and that if we went out for bid, it's much more likely that we're going to be grouped into sort of that $19 to $19.5 million as opposed to the 17 million that we have. So while we would have liked to have seen it be less, I do think we're getting the best value that we can get for that. And we have not worked with this contractor before. They are out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But Stantec has, and has said that they do a good job.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of that follow-up, and it's nice to see staff be able to evaluate and kind of weigh out all the options and come up with, the best course of moving forward.
We had actually hoped to bring this back at the last meeting, but really felt that we needed to go through and look at a bunch of stuff before we did that.
Sure, no. So I just wanted to make sure we kind of touched on that. And then kind of in the same spirit with just looking at, I don't know if I don't have the one, 7I, just the awarding of the City Hall Plaza Improvement Project. I asked Matt, compared to estimates where it came in budgetarily.
Yeah, so our estimate was $3.5 million. It came out at $3.6 million. Yep. So it came really close to the estimates. We actually were starting to feel like it was going to be closer to $4 million. And we're even looking at where we're going to have to take certain pieces out to be able to make it work within the budget. So what you see is an all-in price. So it includes all the alternates that we put in there, everything that we designed as a base bid, and only came in $100,000 over what our estimate was. So we felt really good about where that came in.
Heated walkways?
Yes. Yep. It includes everything that we had in the plans.
A little bit when they were here. So.
Yep. So, and I think just as a reminder to people, so this is a piece of our building improvement program. So it's a piece of our City Hall program, which is actually the last piece of the puzzle. But we have recognized over the last 2 winters especially, we've had people fall and get pretty significantly hurt, that we need to do this sooner than later. And so, it still falls into our overall program. It's just that we're expediting just the plaza portion of it to make sure that we get that done.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I wanted to make sure to note, that this was part of the building improvement program all along, that we're just fast tracking that. And I really appreciate some of the residents that I had spoke with, and that they had kind of really pressed me to say, why are you waiting on this? Why can't you do this now? And then having those discussions with city staff and having you guys be able to listen and really create a solution moving forward that creates not only a safer plaza for all of our residents that are coming to and fro this area, but also a programmable plaza that's going to help, activate this area of downtown, which has just been the end goal and kind of part of the agenda with the appointment from the downtown task force here.
Well, and it's part of our Paseo network that will be on the west side of the road.
Yep. So I just want to take time to just appreciate that you guys kind of really listened and and it's really easy to stick to what we thought was the plan, but really kind of be able to move things around and shift things around to make it happen faster. So, All right. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss on regards to consent? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Hatfield
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Grau. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Consent approved. All right, that moves us along to our action items. We have a few of them. So we are going to jump forward and do 8E up to, I don't know what comes before A, but the Downtown Master Plan Task Force appointments. So I don't know who's, am I just taking it on right from there? Or, I mean, I can get right into it.
All right, I'll set it up. The item in front of you tonight is to fill, so we're doing a downtown master plan refresh. So it's been since 2012 since we did our last downtown master plan. We had that sort of set up as a checklist of things that we needed to do, and a lot of it was focused around infrastructure improvements within the downtown. And so you look at, part of what we talked about was reconstructing every street in downtown. So we've just about completed that. Reconstructing 41 to be safer as it goes through downtown and making it more pedestrian oriented. That's something that's been completed. Redeveloping Fireman's Park. We're getting closer and closer to City Square West as one. The landing redevelopment. A lot of those things that we identified in that first plan have been stuff that we've gotten to. Now it's saying, okay, now that we have the infrastructure in place, how do we sort of take that next step and create a refresh of the downtown master plan to talk about what are those things that we're going to do over the next 10 years from a strategic perspective to really activate those areas and infrastructure that we've created. So we advertised for positions. We've talked about having some downtown resident representation and also some people outside of downtown as representation. And so tonight we went through interviews before this, interviewed 8 people, I think it was, that we went through an interview tonight. And then really the goal would be to fill these citizen representative positions. The rest of the positions on the task force have been filled already. And the first meeting kicks off right away next Monday, the 22nd. So we're planning kicking this off right away and would like to be done in that March time frame, so sometime next spring.
Yeah, wonderful. So yeah, as you spoke, we did interview 8 folks, and I just want to take the time before we go ahead and announce the appointments that I really appreciate every single person that filled out an application and took the time to show initiative. I know we have both the downtown task force, but also the library task force. So I want to take a moment to just say I have a sincere appreciation for folks that, take the time that they want to give up their free time to volunteer and put forward their ideas, and they care about Chaska as much as we care about Chaska up here, and also the folks that came through tonight and interviewed and answered all those rapid fire questions. It's wonderful to see so much interest in our community, and it was a really tough decision. We deliberated hard, and so the announcements for the appointments, and I apologize in advance if I get anybody's name pronounced incorrectly. I should have been asking people's pronouncements of their last names as they were coming through, and I did not think about that ahead of time. But we have Michael Dembinski. Okay, I got a thumbs up in the back row there, so I did that one right. Sarah Amundsen and Mindy Bumolski. I kind of sounded these out. Apologize, Mindy. Jessica Wilson, and then Jane Hayduk. So those are our downtown master plan task force members, and city staff will reach out with the details that Matt had just elaborated on. But thank you again to everybody who came forward and took time and effort today to interview in front of us. So with that, I think I need a motion for accepting these downtown master plan task force members. So
I don't know if it's important to call out which ones are downtown, since we
Oh, I did
specifically-
not. I didn't
Yeah.
think about it,
So I
but-
think specifically, Michael and Sarah will be representing the downtown members, and then the other three, Mindy, Jean, and Jessica will represent the at-large.
Yes, yes. Great point of observation. So, and with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
All right, so a motion from Councilmember Hatfield
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Benish. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion approved. All right, thank you. Look forward to seeing that get started. Okay, so then that moves us down to 8A, which is a public hearing, assessments for the 2026 Downtown Street Reconstruction Project.
So Mayor, Councilmember, the item in front of you tonight, this just relates to something I was just talking about, that we've almost completed reconstruction of all of our downtown streets. This is one smaller section that we have not. It's only a 2-block section, but it does, it's a little bit more complicated because it has a bridge in it, which is one of the reasons that we hadn't done it yet, as we were coming up with a solution for it. We've gone through, and you guys have seen the improvement hearing just to sort of see what type of improvements that we will be making. But we have Alex here that's going to be going through a presentation to talk about the project and then talk about what's being proposed for the assessments. Now, I should mention, with the assessments, we've remained consistent across the entire downtown. So, like I said, almost every street in downtown, with the exception of, I think, like 4 now, have been reconstructed, and we've had the exact same assessment for each residential property throughout the downtown. So we've just stayed consistent with that. As we get into future reconstruction projects, we're probably going to have to revisit that because, you know, we started this 15 years ago and inflation, you know, goes up and stuff. But we've been really making sure that we keep things consistent in this area because everybody had their street redone. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Alex.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So tonight we've got the 2026 Downtown Street Reconstruction Assessment Hearing. The map before you shows streets that were completed in gray, streets that have yet to be done in yellow, and then the area we're discussing tonight is in red, which is Elm Street and 3rd Street over in the northwest corner-ish of downtown. Here's another view of the project area with north to the right, so the bus garage is to the right, showing the streets that would be reconstructed with utilities replaced as well in orange. The 3rd Street Bridge shown there in red is the one we would remove and replace with a concrete pipe to carry drainage. The longer stretches of yellow are an existing drainage channel, makes this project a little unique, that we are working with landowners to fill and actually replace with an underground pipe as well. The Hickory Street Bridge is just shown because it was one that was analyzed during the feasibility study, but it's in fine condition, so nothing would happen with that one at this time. So here's a breakdown of project costs, total of $2,733,000, made up of street improvements, storm sewer improvements, water main line, water services to the homes, sanitary main and sanitary services, and then that bridge and channel improvement that I mentioned earlier. Moving on to the assessment portion. So this map here shows which properties are proposed to have an assessment levied against them. You'll notice a City of Chaska parcel, and then I believe it's 9 residential parcels. Those that are next to the blue streets under construction but don't have an assessment were previously assessed with a prior project. So in terms of a schedule, we've kind of made our way through a couple other dates shown here. We're at the public assessment hearing, and we would be looking to accept bids on the project and award it sometime in June or July, with construction on the back half of this year. That's all I've got for you.
All right, wonderful, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for staff? I know, just to kind of mention that we've seen this presentation a few times as we've identified the next street to reconstruct, and then also walk through the process of hearing how the neighborhood engagement has gone, and kind of, you know, determining what was the best path of moving forward with your feasibility study of things. So I think if nobody, and I'm not seeing anybody really jumping on the microphone here, has any questions for staff, we have a public hearing, so let's go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:24 p.m. Is anybody here wanting to come up and speak to this item? All right. Seeing that there are no people coming forward to speak to this item, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:25 and then move forward. So what's being asked of us is a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-53, adopting the assessment roll for the 2026 street reconstruction project. Entertained, yes, thank you.
Resolution 2026-53.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Shevlin,
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Hatfield. Any discussion? I think, again, just important to note that all of the neighbors that are being assessed have been in communication with city staff and have known to expect this. So I just want to make sure to point that out. All right.
In fact, one step further, they probably pushed us more to do it, which is fair. It's the one. Other than the stuff around the City Square West block, it's the only thing that we hadn't done yet, and so I do think it was entirely, fair that it is time to do this street.
Yeah, one of the residents about last year about this time kind of said, okay, like, when is this going to happen? And so thanks for staff for getting the ball rolling to kind of see, and again, sussing out the feasibility of the right path forward and kind of making that plan. So, all right, well, we have a motion and a second, and we've had some discussion. Motion to approve, I'll say aye. Sorry, I lost my train of thought and all that. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Those in approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. All right, that moves us on to 8B. Motion to approve entering into a letter of intent with Community Asset Foundation for the development of the inn on Stoughton Avenue.
Mayor and council members, the item in front of you tonight is a project that you guys have heard about before, the inn. So this would be a project to work with the Beyond New Beginnings program, which is a program that has been in Chaska for probably about 5 years, 6 years. We've had Beyond New Beginnings as a program at the co-op for ages, probably 20 years, 25 years, maybe longer, which really sort of helps young mothers who have not completed high school the opportunity to be able to finish school and then try to go on and get additional education. What Beyond New Beginnings has done is it's taken it sort of the next step and saying, well, some of these people do not have housing, and they need a place for them and their children to stay while they finish up schooling and then get the support to help finish up that schooling. So there was one project that was done down in the old mixed company building, which is down at the northeast corner or quadrant of 2nd Street and Walnut Street about 5 years ago, which I believe has 4 units there inside of it, and it's been working very successfully for the participants and those for the co-op. And then they're looking at saying we really need to have additional housing units because we have the demand to do that. So where you guys last saw this, the inn was going through the planning process to look at a lot up on Yellow Brick Road that was sort of halfway up Yellow Brick Road, sort of across the street from some patio homes that were located there. While the intent was to move forward on that lot, they did soils testing on that and found that it was cost prohibitive for them to be able to do the things that they need to do to make that lot work. So they would have had to do helical piers and things like that to get to really basically hold the housing structure on there. At that point, they had talked to us about whether we had any other ideas for places that could be looked at. One that immediately came to our mind was the fact that we had been working for several months with the Worm household that's at St. John's Church to look for a new location to move that house and then put it into our land trust or put it in the CDA's land trust program. And we did the soils examination and everything works to allow the house to go there. But then the discussion sort of revolved around, well, what if the inn was to take the Worm house and then an additional 2 units on property that we acquired from or we were provided from United Crystal Sugar, where the railroad track used to cross Stoughton Avenue. They own the property that was on the north side of Stoughton Avenue and really wanted to dispose of it because they didn't really have any use for it anymore. And so we actually took possession of that a year and a half ago, something like that. And so, we looked at, maybe this is an option to look at that. And so what you're seeing in front of you tonight is really sort of a first step in that process is to say, is this a feasible option to move forward with? It still would have to go through the planning process and all those types of things. But, we don't want to send somebody down a road if people have major concerns about it and make sure that people are at least shaking their head in the same direction before going through that process. So what you're seeing in front of you tonight is a letter of intent that would sort of outline sort of the basic structure of what a deal could look like to be able to move a project there, and sort of the process that we'd have to go through. I do know there's somebody here from the applicant. Bob Repke is here from Community Asset Foundation, who, just like in the past one, is looking at helping the group put this together. And I think eventually their intent would be to actually have these go into the land trust through the CDA to manage those. But that's something that Bob can certainly talk more to if you have any questions. But with that being said, I can certainly answer any questions. But again, this is really sort of a first step, letter of intent to say, is this a direction that we want to move?
Sure. Thank you.
I have some questions. So I'll definitely have questions for Mr. Repke. So I don't know if you want to make your way up here, but my first question, I just want to confirm, because I think it's the neighborhood meeting notice went out, and so there were some neighbors already confused, so we can get ahead of that a little bit.
Yep.
There is a property for sale at the actual 947 Stoughton Avenue. This property doesn't have an address yet, so 947 has 2 lots there that are on the corner of Stoughton and York.
Yep.
Those are not included in this project.
No.
Those are just, it's happenstance that they are for sale at the same time.
Yep.
Okay.
The only properties that this would involve is just the property that the city or EDA currently has.
And then would our trail that we just put in need to move at all?
No.
Okay.
So the housing units would be pushed farther to the west.
To the west, okay. Or to the east?
East, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would just say, I think probably feedback for the neighborhood meeting, just so you can get ahead of it, is there's just some confusion about it being like low income housing, or is it programmed? And so I think that's helpful just to note that it is a part of Beyond New Beginnings and what programming would look like, and that it's not just low income housing. Like obviously there's an income component, but it's more than that. It's a programmed situation. I think that's really helpful for the neighbors to understand. And then And then the other feedback would just be obviously the Worm property will fit in well. There's not any other twin homes on Stoughton. And there's other new homes on Stoughton, and certainly several homes that have made updates and reinvested in their properties, but just however we can, and obviously we're not to concept or any of those other steps, but however to make it blend well so it doesn't just like stick out, I think will help the neighbors with it. And it, you know, I think especially with programming like that, you want it to feel a part of the neighborhood. And so like the initial picture seems stark, would look stark on Stoughton there, but I think just feedback. So, and then, yeah, I was just, the question of if it's the same, essentially the same of what we heard about the inn, but here. So I don't know, Bob, if you want to come up for that.
As he's coming up, the big differences in the inn proposal on Yellow Brick Road include 4 units. This would include 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is in the picture that's in the packet, the twin home, but then what I'm guessing is the worm house?
Yep.
That is gonna stay as is, or that house is going away?
No, that house would actually get moved there. So right now it's actually at St. John's.
Okay.
It's in their playground. It's the only house that's actually sort of sitting on that block where their playground is.
Yeah, I know where it is now.
Yeah,
now that
so
you say that.
it'd be moving that house over to, you know, St. John's would in essence be providing that house to.
So
to
that
move.
house is in like good condition though?
Yep, we've done the analysis
Okay.
on the inside of it. It's in good condition now. It's dated.
I mean, in comparison to brand new.
Yeah,
right?
without a doubt, it's got some interesting carpet choices and stuff like that
Which
inside.
I'm sure we
but,
can, think
but
about
that
dating.
but that type of stuff.
But it's livable. It's not like okay.
The structure is a good structure.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to be here. And Michaela, to your point, we have the neighborhood meeting coming up, and you know, any thoughts or ideas or feedback relative to the fit, and certainly open to those. We want it to be and believe it'll be a nice addition to the neighborhood. From a Beyond New Beginnings standpoint, I think they believe that, you know, we're going to build a fourplex on Yellow Brick Road. The soils were really bad, really poor. The cost of dealing with that just made the whole project prohibitive. And so we worked with the city and identified this site. And in talking to Beyond New Beginnings, they actually believe that this combination of now looking at a duplex, 2 units that we build, and moving the worm house because they see a little bit more of a family need, being identified, will actually work better for them as they look to the future. So it's a really good fit that they're pleased with and supportive of. We met with St. John's last week about the move, put out RFPs to, I think, 5 moving companies, and we've heard back from a couple. Obviously, St. John's interest is to have it moved and the hole filled up, and before school starts, that as a playground, that it's not a risk for anybody there, and so it was encouraging. We met with a mover today, and this is some good news, bad news, Michaela, that he was optimistic about moving it. From a cost standpoint, at least his general reaction, would fit within the budget, his timeline to be able to do it in early August, would make sense and meet the St. John's timeline. The bad news part of it, he'd be moving at midnight, so anybody living on Stoughton Avenue might not have a good night's rest with the house being moved down the road and probably past your home. So that was a positive discussion. So we're encouraged about the project and addressing what is a growing need in terms of, supporting single young moms who've chosen life and supporting them, and some of them that have been dealing with homelessness, and providing the counseling support from the Beyond New Beginnings staff that, will lead to more stability and opportunity in the years ahead for them.
Can I ask you a quick question, Bob?
Sure.
I remember as you had brought this up before, and we had talked about the inn being in its previous desired location, and the current one that exists, that one of the aspects of this was the idea of community, and that there was this congregating area where, like the different families could come and, benefit from educational series or playtime or whatever the case may be. Does this setup allow for that, or is there going to be a way that that's going to be incorporated in if they're more or less, like single-family dwellings rather than a dwelling? Does that make sense?
Well, I think you're talking about the house itself specifically in terms of how it'll be used, or?
Well, the current one that New Beginnings has, the kind of, it sounded like when you spoke to us.
At Walnut Street?
Yeah.
Yep.
The idea of community and being able to interact with each other and have their programming and educational series and things like that was a key component of that. Will this setup, and I'm not saying that it won't, but will this setup allow for that same type of
absolutely
community?
Absolutely. The Beyond New Beginnings will, as they provide that support, that counseling support to these young women down at Walnut, they'll be providing the same services, for young women living in in these buildings, in the duplex and in the worm home. So they'll be providing that. I think they're working out the details of what will that all include right now, but it will be, the same model in terms of counseling support, and I think that's the key. And if New Beginnings people would tell you that, they're excited about it and they're committed to that. The stories are amazing.
Absolutely. No, I remember you telling us last time, but I know it had like that, I don't know if you want to call it shared space, but this idea that they could all
the
come
common
together.
space in there.
Yeah.
And they may bring them together for the common space in down in Walnut, and to the extent they can do that in a duplex, there might be the opportunity to do that, but I think some of the logistics of that are what they're trying to work out now. But I think they're identifying, what are the measures of success around the counseling support that are going to be used to make sure that they're providing stability and bringing stability to the lives of these people. So, yeah.
I think that's, helpful perspective too. And so for anyone listening, I think that programming is something that makes it really special, whether it is on site or at the Walnut location, but the counseling in general. So it's not, I think, not that there's anything wrong with low-income housing, but it's not just like your general low-income housing. It's a very intentional space that's being created.
I think that's the beauty of it, not only that we offer that programming, but that these single mothers don't feel like they're going it alone. They have people just like them around them. Their kids have, and I granted they're pretty young, but playmates. Like it's this
right.
idea of bringing a community back to somebody that's been maybe isolated or estranged from a community.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right. The opportunity to provide play space and offer that. I'm going to try to provide that opportunity out in Stoughton and replicate what's going on down in Walnut. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my question. Would that still be a key focus if they were more or less individual units?
You bet.
And then just to confirm, the plan is to put it in land trust? In the land trust?
That will be the plan, yeah.
Okay.
I know the CDA there's been discussions early on relative to the Worm House. At this point, we're just trying to set this up and get this all moved and put in place, and I would guess then the follow-up would be with the CDA in terms of the detail of moving it into the land trust at some point.
Well, downtown Chaskans, they can be a little feisty, so I'm just trying to get ahead of some of it for you. But those are all my questions, so thank you.
Well, that's okay. We know who to call on then and who to work with, so. All right. Thanks for all your support for Beyond the Beginnings and their work. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Bob,
you.
for coming down and kind of helping answer some of the questions. I appreciate kind of seeing that, you know, the city partnering with just to kind of make something work when it was found that the original plan just wasn't feasible. So that it's nice to see a pivot happen and have it be something that can be really beneficial for all parties involved, you know, St. John's, Beyond New Beginnings, the city. It's great.
And the thing I forgot to mention, you know, the funds that help support it from the city standpoint is the LAHA.
Yes.
The LAHA dollars were allocated 3 sessions ago to cities, and we started off pretty small, but we're actually at a point now with our LAHA dollars where we get enough annually where we can do sort of a impactful project.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the great thing about projects like this is, I mean, it's meeting a need for affordable housing, but more so it's meeting a specific need for, you know, going beyond that to say it's giving people a leg up in life to be able to get finish their education off and have child support, you know, people to support their children when, you know, so they can do homework and all those different types of things.
Learn
so,
to live independently, successfully.
Yeah. So those LAHA dollars have really been, I think, really a nice tool that we've received over the last few years.
Yeah, and that was, the state legislature had a 1% sales tax put on, with 3/4 of the sales tax going towards transportation, and then the other quarter going towards affordable housing. And so it's broken down by county and cities, and so these are our appropriated dollars towards it.
Well, and the good thing compared to, so in Carver County, we are not considered an entitlement county. And so an entitlement county is a county that gets community development block grant dollars automatically given to them based on their population.
Yes.
Carver County has not reached that threshold yet from a population perspective. So every dollar that we go out and have in the past and have had to try to seek for affordable projects has had to be through a competitive grant application process. But the problem with that is that you never know if you're going to get those dollars or not. And so, or you might have to go through the process 2 or 3 times before you get it. These LAHA dollars are like CDBG dollars where they're allocated to us, so we can count on them, which means that we can come up with definite plans of things to do with it.
Yeah, so makes a difference.
Mayor, can I just add one?
Come on down to the microphone, otherwise our 1.2 million listeners will not be able to hear you on YouTube.
Just to support Matt's point there, we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize the support of the city. You know, with the dollars you've contributed to make this project happen. If we didn't have those dollars, we wouldn't have this project. And so when you talk about affordability and addressing issues of the community in terms of meeting, you know, special needs, where homelessness is involved, where bringing stability to young people that are struggling today, and finding housing that might be affordable for them. I mean, this is an example of a partnership and where the city says we can do something here and we can support it and we can make it happen. And so, you know, we just need to publicly recognize that you played a key role in making this a priority and making it happen. And we just need to recognize that for everyone that's pretty special. And thanks for stepping up and making it a priority. So,
Thank you, Bob. And thank you for your work and effort on this. All right, so with that, any other discussion? Otherwise, at this point, action requested is a motion to approve entering into a letter of intent with the Community Asset Foundation for funding the inn at Stoughton Avenue. So I would entertain a motion for that.
so moved.
All right, so a motion from Councilmember Grau
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Hatfield. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so that moves us along to our next agenda item, which is 8C. Adopt resolution number 2026-59 and 2026-60, and ordinance number 1081, approving the preliminary site and building plan, preliminary plat, rezoning, and comprehensive plan amendment for Big Woods Business Park. Phase 1, Scannell Properties, PC number 2026-08.
Mayor and Councilmember, the item in front of you tonight is something you guys have seen before. So we've had in our comp plan for 20 plus years having a industrial park, business park on the west side of Highway 212. It was one that it took the market to sort of catch up with before we saw communities to the east of us sort of run out of space for industrial, and we sort of reached that point now, and are seeing a lot more demand here. And so as we've seen that, we have both landowners in that area that have been desirous of selling their property for development, and we've had a developer in Scannell who has come forward and put forth sort of a vision and a plan for how to move forward with developing that. So we did see the concept plan come forward several months ago. Since that time, there's been a lot of work that's been looked at, especially on transportation connections out there that we'll talk about. But we're now at the point of preliminary site and building plan, which includes a rezoning to be considered as a part of that. And with that, I will turn it over to Liz, who can give a presentation on it.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. We have a preliminary site and building plan, preliminary plat, rezoning, and a comprehensive plan amendment request this evening for the Big Woods Business Park, specifically the north side for their first phase, or building number 1 out there. And as Matt mentioned, this is being proposed by Scannell Properties. So the site in question is located on this aerial exhibit. We are showing both the north and south sides that was looked at as a part of the overall concept plan approved earlier this year. The first phase is outlined in blue on this screen, so it's on the north side of the Big Woods Business Park development, which is north of Big Woods Boulevard and directly east of Jonathan Carver Parkway, or County Road 11. So this property borders on the city limits of Dahlgren Township. We also have the city of Carver, that's kind of kitty corner to the southwest of the property, and additional agricultural land kind of surrounding the existing site here. Highway 212 is also a major abutting border on the east side as well. So we're at the second step in the process of our 3-step review process. So this is when we start to look at more of the details, technical analyses, civils, and architectural drawings. So we'll have another step following this one if this item moves on this evening. In terms of previous approvals and other actions that have occurred up until this time, it was back in November when they did hold their neighborhood meeting ahead of their concept plan, and then the concept plan was approved in February of this year by you guys. Subsequent to that, the 2 parcels within the Phase 1 area that were in Dahlgren Township have been annexed into the city, and that was these 2 parcels here right on that western border. Those have gone through formal annexation, so they are a part of the city of Chaska now. Also, an environmental assessment occurred, or an AUAR is what we call it, for the 300-acre area. This was a requirement just due to the size of the overall project area and square footage that's kind of proposed out there in the future. So that process started in September and then formally wrapped up in April of this year, where you guys adopted the final AUAR document. In terms of the existing conditions of the site, so the overall area between the north and the south sides of the business park are a little over 330 acres in size. It spans across 16 parcels of land and 6 different property owners. The Razor family does own a majority of the property on the north side. The Dice family owns property on the south side. The Close family owns some property, 1 parcel by the Mortian family, 2 parcels by Traditions, and 1 parcel by the city of Chaska. Most of this area is currently used as agriculture. Today, there are some areas that are heavily forested or wooded, mainly on the north side of the development and kind of spread on the southeast side too. This area is identified as 2 key community entrance pieces as a part of our comprehensive plan. So we have 1 key community entrance at the intersection of Big Woods Boulevard and Jonathan Carver Parkway. So that'll come into play in some other analyses we provide later on. As I mentioned before, the preliminary request this evening is only for the first phase of this development, which is situated on the north side of Big Woods Boulevard and directly east of County Road 11. So that'll take up roughly 44 acres of project area there, and it's planned for a distribution center. So the current request, as I mentioned before, is kind of a 4-piece request. 1 is for a preliminary site and building plan for a distribution center totaling approximately 218,000 square feet on 44 acres. Also included is a preliminary plat request and a rezoning to planned multi-use district number 24, and then lastly, a comprehensive plan amendment. The site plan proposed is shown in the bottom left portion of the screen. The current zoning out here is shown on the right-hand side. The majority of the property is currently zoned rural residential or RR2. The former Dahlgren Township parcels are unzoned right now, which is typical for a recent annexation, but they will get rezoned as a part of this preliminary request. The preliminary plat includes platting the first phase into 1 lot. So where the distribution center is going would be 1 lot totaling roughly 44 acres. There's an additional lot for a future water tower on the north side for the city to take that over and develop a water tower when needed. And then the remaining land controlled by Scannell Properties will be platted into outlots. The comprehensive plan, which is our long-range plan for the city, guides this area to be a mix of land uses. The majority of the area is planned for business park. Subsequent areas planned for open space and green belt, and then growth area that was a part of those former Dahlgren Township parcels. As I mentioned before, those were recently annexed in May of this year. A part of the request, which I'll get into more detail in a couple other slides following these, is a comprehensive plan amendment, which is a 3-fold request. So the amendment would allow for cluster development in the Greenbelt area. The request to expand our metropolitan urban service area boundary, which is basically the area that's serviced by city utilities, and then establish land use guidance over those former Dahlgren Township parcels, as those weren't formally guided before. So getting into the Greenbelt area, this area is highlighted in green on this exhibit here. The Purpose of the green belt is to establish an edge around the city to the best extent possible to physically and visually separate Chaska from adjacent communities. The purpose of it also includes protection of the rural character, mainly at key community entrances. So this is a key community entrance at this first phase of development at Big Woods Boulevard and Jonathan Carver Parkway. The proposed site plan shows impacts into that greenbelt area, which is allowed via or per the comprehensive plan. We do allow for cluster development to happen within greenbelt areas as long as they meet the standards that are listed within that, which I'll get to in a mere moment here. So for this first phase, there's almost 30 acres of greenbelt space, which again is that green area. And then with the proposed site plan, there's roughly 9 acres of impact into that greenbelt space. So roughly 31% of the greenbelt area is shown to be impacted with impervious surface. And because of those impacts, as I mentioned, a comprehensive plan amendment request is required per policy number 3 under the 2040 comp plan. Within policy number 3, there are 10 stated objectives that have to be met in order for an amendment to occur. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to highlight some of the main ones within the list here. One of them is that the area needs to be serviced by Chaska utilities, so that is true with this proposal, is they will be extending utilities to service the business park area. Another one is view sheds at key community entrances are identified, prioritized, and protected. And again, those are view sheds along Jonathan Carver Parkway and Big Woods Boulevard, where that key community entrance is. They are proposing a mix of ponding, berming, and landscaping within this area to help provide that view or obscured view shed on the edge there. There are a few refinements that they need to work on going into their final submittal, mainly situated on the northwest edge of Building 1 site, and where their proposed vehicle entrance is on Jonathan Carver Parkway. And I'll show that in a video montage coming up shortly here. And then another important piece is that if there are impacts into the Greenbelt area, that the development activity is limited to approximately a third of the Greenbelt area, or 33% of that space. So they do stay within that threshold with their site plan. This slide shows multiple angles of the view sheds that are seen along Big Woods Boulevard and Jonathan Carver Parkway. I'll show a video to kind of give you that full glimpse of what the view shed would be along both of those roadways. But to highlight kind of where those areas of refinement are needed, again, they're on the northwest side of the site and where that vehicle entrance is proposed on Jonathan Carver Parkway.
So in that image, sorry, just to clarify, because it's not marked, the D1, D4. D4 is Big Woods, and D1 is Jonathan Carver, that road?
Yep, correct. Yep.
Oh, this is the one that's like across from Fleet Farm, like the parcel that, or like kitty going. What?
Yeah, it's up about 1.5 miles to 2
Yeah.
miles from the Fleet Farm.
Oh,
And so
it's
in
that far north.
yeah, it's in between Fleet Farm and Engler Boulevard.
Yep.
Okay, so it doesn't actually come up. Well, I guess 212 does cut down like that. Yeah, I'll say it on the 212. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to show 2 videos here, which is their proposed landscaping and berming along Big Woods Boulevard and Jonathan Carver Parkway. They put together 2 really helpful video exhibits, one showing kind of the 5-year growth of the landscaping along that edge, and then a more mature 20-year growth view shed. So the first one is the 5-year growth, and it's going to be starting kind of at the edge of where the Greenbelt is on Big Woods Boulevard. It'll move west and then go north along Jonathan Carver Parkway, and I'll kind of run you through it. So this is along Big Woods Boulevard, right before the edge of the green belt here. So they'll be putting in berming here, ponding kind of in between. This is that trail along Jonathan Carver Parkway. So we're on Jonathan Carver Parkway now, going north. And then here's that vehicle entrance proposed. And then as you continue going north, and this is kind of where it gets to be that other area of refinement that we've stated needs additional landscaping and screening to be worked on with their final plan. And then here's the 20-year growth, kind of same direction pattern as before.
That first one was how many years? 5?
5 years for
Okay.
the first one. This one's 20 years.
All right.
So they'll do more native grasses kind of in the ponding and the berming area to give more of that lush feel there.
I think it's important to point out in this, because I think it's important to state for a lot of neighbors who've got questions for me, that on Big Woods Boulevard, the enhancement that's in that image, but you did mention, is the walking bike path, sidewalk path that does
Yep.
not exist there today.
Yes.
Because it ends at the roundabout.
Yes.
And it's basically a county road after that, truthfully, because it has no curbs or gutters or anything like that, or not gutters, curbs and wastewater. Because I've heard feedback, things like, well, there's a couple things, right? I ride bike to Carver or to the Carver Elementary School. In some aspects, well, I'll just say it, I actually think this, they're worried about traffic. We'll talk about traffic. I'm sure you have a whole section on that. But actually, the including of the bike path actually enhances that safety, because right now it is very tight because it's a county road. It's a county road with no sides,
Shoulders
right?
are- yeah.
And so it's not, and that will ultimately connect to the regional trail that runs north and south to Carver, which is good. I think the other thing that I'd like to, I got lots of emails. I responded to a few. I live in this area, just to state that, so that people know that. I live in Founder's Path, which is further down the road. The other reality is they're in that 20-year vision plan. Kids in that neighborhood aren't typically actually going to Carver anymore. They would go to a new elementary school that would not be impacted by some of the traffic. So you got a little bit of a time barrier with how development happens, but I want to make sure people hear that, right? Like, I understand that everyone living in Founders and the Harvest view that Carver Elementary is their school path, and it is right now, and I can't tell you when it's not, because that's undetermined. But big picture, which is what we got to look at investment in these types of things, would shift actually away from that and actually put the school back into the community by the community park that's pictured there. So I think those are just important things. Very valid concerns that have been brought to my attention that I already had too, but it's good to hear. But I think those are important things to look at too, is that it finishes that path and makes that connection point, which people still take the bike, which is great. But again, I think it's also important to understand that Carver Elementary long-term isn't the school that serves the space. Now, don't know when that changes. It is now. I've made that drive many times, 10 plus years at this point. But I do think I have to remind myself of that too, because I've just taken that for granted, that it's always going to be Carver, it's always going to be Carver Elementary, but hopefully there will be a need for that new elementary school, and that'll get built south of Big Woods Boulevard there. So I just think that's important, because the berming looks great, but what it stuck out to me was that path, because that does not exist there today, and that is not a safe road at all today for anyone on a bike or scooter or anything like that.
Yeah, another improvement that's forthcoming, probably sooner than the school, is the completion of Spanaway connecting Big Woods Boulevard and Article 61. And then eventually, and also then creating a crosswalk over the Spring Creek Drive. So that would be an alternate route to the existing school.
Good. Yep, that's a good add too.
Yeah, and that Savannah Way southern connection, you'll see that start this summer. with grading, and you'll see it get finished next summer. Because we're going to need that both for the opening of our park, but there's also 2 neighborhoods that are developing at the same time. And I don't think the school is that far on the horizon. Just in the discussions we've had with the school district during the park development, I think they're looking at that they're starting to see the district grow again. They're starting to see a lot of growth obviously happen on the western edge of the district, and so there's going to be some factors that really push them to look at adding that school maybe sooner than people might expect.
I have a question, and it's probably not really a factor, but where the park is located in comparison to this, and we're talking about keeping that park like it sounds like anyway, more of like a nature, like conservatory type park, with some amenities, of course, but it sounds like the goal is to keep it very naturey. Will this change any of that? You
won't even see it, because you have to keep in mind that you have to cross 212 to actually get from this industrial park over to the park.
Sure.
And I'm sure these guys are going to talk about it, but the question about traffic improvements or road improvements that will need to occur here, we've been in a lot of discussions with the county about what are the best improvements that we could make out here on the road, which is likely going to involve a roundabout where there's an entrance into the park, and then also over at County Road 11 too, and that's in their 2028 horizon. So it's right in line with when we would expect to see see this develop. But when you look at the uses that will be in the industrial park, it's probably going to be pretty rare that they're going to be going across the freeway, and going on into the east side of the freeway, unless they're making deliveries to specific houses.
Well, and I was going to say, as far as traffic patterns in the school and all that, my neighborhood is one of the very few that actually dumps out onto 41. There's not a barrier or a exit road that comes off the neighborhood. And our kids, if they went to that school, would go to Clover Ridge. So you cross actually over 212 and down. There's some very busy intersections and streets and things, and obviously they would ride a bus. But I have never seen that traffic pattern or even all of the hustle and bustle on 41 and 212, which is right where we are, be detrimental to kids getting to school, traffic, it's actually harder to get out of our neighborhood and go downtown because the light never changes. But it's never really been a problem. It's not loud. It's not dangerous that I have ever seen. And so I don't think that this is going to throw that at all. I think it's just another form of urban development that happens, and you plan for that, right, with roads and traffic signs and roundabouts or whatever. So
and part of it too is that the intersection at County Road 11 and Big Woods Boulevard right now doesn't work great.
Right, not
and
at
so
all.
the county is very aware that they need to upgrade that, and so any improvements that happen from a transportation perspective are going to happen both at that intersection, but then also on Big Woods Boulevard going all the way back to the freeway.
Yep. And I think that's important. I mean, with all of the infrastructure that's happened off 41 and 212, that is not dangerous. That is not. It's just fine. It works. So I think we'd see the same thing here, where semis can get on and off, delivery trucks can make. It isn't a deal breaker for neighborhoods that are nearby at all.
I have lots of traffic questions, but I'll wait to the traffic section.
No, this is helpful. Maybe less talking that I need to do. For land use, or for the amendments from the comprehensive plan, include re-guiding or guiding the parcels that are not already guided out here. So effectively, the land use guidance proposed will generally match kind of older plans that have been adopted by the city, specifically the Southwest Chaska plan. So we'll see open space or green belt kind of continue along that western edge, and business park kind of abutting that as well, in line with those previous approved plans. The expansion of the MUSA, again, stops at the city's western limits today. So now that we have the two Dahlgren Township parcels annexed, the MUSA expansion would basically extend into that area up to our ultimate western limits. The overall business park is going to be phased as end users are identified out here, but with this first phase of the development, we wanted to make note of kind of what's coming kind of with the initial startup of this business park. So it would include building of Building 1, which is basically kind of everything in that turquoise area, as well as roads. So we have kind of the main spine road that'll service the northern area here, which we've identified or have coined as Public Road A, but we'll get a more formal name into subsequent approvals here, as well as public improvements at where that spine road will intersect with Big Woods Boulevard, and then some improvements along County Road 11 where they're proposing that private right-in, right-out access.
And those two, and just to be clear, those two roundabouts do not exist today.
Correct. The one at Public Road A with Big Woods Boulevard, and then the one at Big Woods Boulevard and County Road 11. Also with Phase 1 would be the inclusion of a public trail, which would follow the extension of city utilities across the ravine and connect into the business park area and come down to that intersection of Big Woods Boulevard and Public Road A, and kind of extend along the edges of the northern development here along Big Woods Boulevard and into the regional trail along County Road 11.
It's actually one thing that we've really learned from our North Industrial Parks is how many businesses have come and talked to us about, is there a way we can put in a sidewalk, or things that allow employees to go out during lunch and take a walk. Mm-hmm. And so I think it seems subtle, but I think having that be part of the industrial park, right now, if you go out into Crosby Park or PV Park, mm-hmm. People are walking on the road, and it's not that it's super dangerous, but it's not ideal. Mm-hmm. And this is really thinking about how do you create those places where people can be during lunch, but also some cool places where they can go to, like down by the creek, West Creek.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then mass grading would also occur on the northern half of the business park, kind of up to the limits that Scannell Properties controls. So basically where the dark blue extends to, they would grade to those limits on the north side. And then also utilities would come down from Creek Road to the north here. I'll show a different slide later showing that.
Liz, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So the Scannell Properties is buying that whole plot of land, only one thing is sold, but there will be future buildings on this land? Or is that, am I understanding the development of it correctly?
Yeah, so they have control over a majority of the parcels on the north side owned by the Razor family and the Morshan family, basically to the extent of where the dark blue goes here. They have one end user identified for basically the turquoise area.
But
these other areas don't have end users at this point and will come in when those are identified.
Right, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Is the intent in the future for Scannell to develop those as well? Those parcels. Okay.
Yep. For access and right-of-way, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but the main road to kind of this first phase of development is what we call Public Road A, or the Spine Road, which will also have a new single-lane roundabout intersection at Big Woods Boulevard and Public Road A. This is still kind of in the iterative process with Carver County, as it is their road. So there may be some changes moving into final, but at this point, this is kind of the preferred design option proposed to access the north area, or the kind of future north and south areas of the business park along Big Woods Boulevard. But that'll be the main point of entry to Building 1, as well as kind of those future plots of land as well. And then a new private right-in, right-out is proposed along County Road 11. So this will be only for the use of Building 1 to have access to. So it is a limited access to be a right-in, right-out here. And then Matt mentioned kind of what the county's future plans are along the intersection of Big Woods Boulevard and County Road 11. And again, this is kind of outside of the scope of this overall business project or business park area, but they do intend to move forward with a construction of a roundabout at Big Woods Boulevard and Jonathan Carver Parkway in the future in 2028. Just a couple things regarding access and right-of-way that the applicant will need to work on for their final submittal. Public Road A is considered a collector road in our comprehensive plan. It's also a state aid road, so it does have another layer of regulation and design standards that it does need to meet. For it being a collector road, there are spacing guidelines for access points on a collector road, which is 600 feet from each access point. With Building 1 site, they show 3 points of access onto that collector road. The 2 on the north side of the development, or on the north side of the site, that access the loading dock, and their van lot towards the back of the building don't meet that spacing requirement, so that will be something they need to revise into their final submittal and layout. And then lastly, since we're still kind of in the process of working with Carver County, that coordination still needs to continue, and certainty needs to be provided on the design for intersections A and B, so the ones that intersect with the county roads.
Just on this one, leading into my traffic conversation, safe to assume, I'll make some assumptions here that I want to just verify because I don't want assumptions are not great. The right in, right out van lot, delivery truck lot, that ultimately means, this is an assumption, that if you're thinking about like the concern of traffic into the neighborhoods to the east, essentially right in, right out stops that, because they can't go south off that to get into the neighborhood. They'd have to go right going north on Jonathan Carver. Fair statement?
Yeah, the one thing I would say about that though is that, you know, that lot's going to have full access to the primary road through the industrial park, so they could, you know, enter down onto the roundabout that's down at the entrance.
So maybe that's a question I have for the developer. Is the van lot connected to, I guess, that public road A?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So they could go through there. And again, I guess generally, if you're delivering something to my house, which is down that way, you're going to probably go that way. But generally speaking, traffic's getting to 212, Jonathan Carver, those big collector roads. Okay. That's a good clarification because that wasn't clear to me. The public road A, I assume then, based on this, is that'll be the semi-traffic, largely going to that loading dock, delivering the large shipments that ultimately get sorted into the vans. That was the only thing that, you know, your comment earlier, Matt, about not having traffic cross over the 212. There's where it could occur maybe, because I think if you zone out, you can't see it on here, but if that truck was coming north on 212, you would have to take off to the east side and go around that roundabout and come back through. you know what I'm saying, the interchange.
So one of the things we should point out as part of this is we're trying to get the funding to support the inclusion of all legs of that interchange. And that would be part of the overall improvements on Big Woods Boulevard. So it actually make the connectivity onto 212 a lot easier, both for people in the business park, but also the residents too, who may not just want to go north, but also may want to go south too.
Because if you're on this map, like the way it's set up now, that's a good clarification. Because if you're thinking about it as a resident of the Harvest there, you're thinking if they're coming south on 212, no problem. They're going to exit, they're going to roundabout, and then they're going to go around the roundabout, go west, hit the next roundabout, and go into the park.
Yep.
If you're coming from the south as it exists today, and you're heading north, you're coming off there where the cursor is. You're going all the way around that one roundabout to the second roundabout and in, right? So that would be on the east side of 212 as it exists today.
Actually, you can't make
Yeah, you can't get off
you can't make that movement.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's right.
So the only way so that's what we're talking about
That's
actually
right.
adding,
Yes.
and it would
Yeah.
mimic the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
So that as they're coming off, they wouldn't have to drive over into a neighborhood. They would just go around that
Yeah,
roundabout and
okay.
in.
Thank you. I mean, I drive by it every day and I drive it and it's still hard to picture. That's
I
why
have a
I'm
question
asking.
on that too. So if you think about 212, from like Eden Prairie Road, Dell, 101, yeah, I think actually all of them up through Engler, they all have stoplights and bridges to go over. Is the plan ever to do that on Big Woods where we make it more obviously as the traffic patterns?
Well, I think
Get greater, but-
we can definitely put more traffic through there without stoplights. We can put more traffic through there with roundabouts than we can with stoplights.
Okay.
And so the reason that this interchange is different is because this was not included as part of the original construction of 212. We ended up having to go and get bonding dollars to be able to get this
That makes sense.
going.
Okay.
And when we designed this, we designed it probably the way they wish they would have designed the rest of the
Got it.
interchanges.
Okay. Because I was thinking that's the only one, because Jonathan
Yep.
Carver again has the lights and the bridge, so it'd be.
So when we go to do the additions for the people that are wanting to go south, that would just be another off-ramp of that roundabout that's in place on that side, where she's
Yep.
cursoring.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we purchased all of the right-of-way as part of the initial project. We only got the approval to do a partial interchange
Sure.
at the time.
Yep.
But we have all the right-of-way to actually build
Okay,
it.
okay. Yeah, because I knew the off-ramp, but I didn't know the other side. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for the traffic. I keep bringing traffic questions up, but it's fair because they're top of my head. And this may be an applicant question, and it's hard to predict, so I'm going to put you in a tough spot. I'm just going to tell you. I think the number one concern we're going to hear, and I have heard, is semis coming up Big Woods Boulevard through those neighborhoods on the east side. I look at this and say that I don't think that's going to occur. I think what's going to come into the neighborhood are the deliveries in the vans. This neighborhood area, particularly where I live, is a little skeptical of what they're told about traffic and construction because we witnessed people drive through our neighborhood for construction lots of times. So they're already like hurt by that, which is fair because it still happens today, or the new developments. But am I wrong in saying that it'd be unlikely that a semi is going to come from downtown Chaska up Big Woods Boulevard into the lot? Is that again, I'm not making you promise because it's impossible to predict, but generally that is not the most efficient way. And if I know about the end user is all about efficiency. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
I think you actually have to say it just so people can hear it.
That is a fair statement.
Okay. Because again, that is the number one thing one of the number one things I think both Taylor and I got messages today, emails about really that traffic in the neighborhood section. The other section, it's been zoned industrial, it's going to be industrial, there's going to be lots of change there. I'm comfortable with that. I just want to make sure we're comfortable with what's happening on the east side being impacted what's happening on the west side, up 212.
And I mean, it's fair to point out that there is bigger vehicle traffic happening on
Yeah.
that stretch of road.
Agreed.
And it is a collector road.
Yep.
That's there to take the amount of traffic that
Yeah, and I do think of just generally where these things are going to be coming to and where they're coming from and going to, that's probably much more likely that they use 101 to go across the river, because that connects now directly with 212 and then come down, because it's a much more direct path. It's not easy for big trucks to.
They want to hit the 4 roundabouts on Big Woods.
Yeah.
On Engler?
Yeah, on Engler, there's about.
But I think also, I mean, we're going to see other users out there that have lots of deliveries.
Yep.
And so I think it's fair to say that you'll probably see that those users are going to want to stick to the main roads.
Oh, for sure. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen semis at that Avienda place on Powers barely make it through those roundabouts to get into where the new community center's going. Awful.
Okay, I'll hold some. I'm good. I'm going to keep the process moving.
Now we're at traffic. John's favorite.
Teed it up for us, John.
And you don't have much to say now.
Yeah, probably not. But they did do an updated TIA, or traffic impact analysis, with this first phase here, just to give a little bit more detail to the end user for the distribution center. They provided a helpful table to kind of show the breakdown of the types of vehicles coming into and out of the site during kind of a 24-hour period. This is a 24/7 building, so you have people working in the overnight hours, trucks coming in mainly in the overnight hours, and then delivery vans kind of working off-peak during the daytime hours. Autos are kind of the employees that service this building, are kind of the majority of those daily trip generators on site. Again, the biggest shift will happen overnight, so off-peak hours, usually when people are sleeping, they'll have their biggest shift from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Trucks will mainly come in the overnight hours, but be sporadic through kind of all hours of the day. And then vans, which are the delivery vans, those will start to gear up around 10 a.m. and leave the site between 10 and 11 and be off-site making their deliveries and coming back around the 8 p.m., 9 p.m. hour. So this building will generally have about 3,000 daily trips just within that 24-hour breakdown.
And that's the number that gets attention and scares everyone, right? Like, just that's. So I think you brought it. You broke it down well, and I like the details of the report, because that's the number that is a good talking point. But when you look at the details of where it's coming, it seems it's more manageable, in my opinion. It's a lot, but yes, I mean,
I think so. Sometimes it's hard to visualize trips and what that means, right? So 3,000 daily trips, just for context, a couple stretches in Chaska that have that sort of account today would include Victoria Drive. So as it comes off of 41, kind of between 41 as it connects up to Engler, that stretch, which is primarily residential, has about 3,000 trips per day. So you can kind of visualize what that stretch of road is like. That's the trip count.
You're talking about like over by the safety building, public safety campus?
South of there. So as you're heading northward on 41, that first signal,
Yeah,
take
the
a
back
left,
side of it.
that
Yeah.
stretch. Yep.
Okay.
I never see anyone go there. I'm surprised it gets 3,000 a day.
Oh, I cut through.
Well, now you know what that's like.
Now I do.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great perspective.
Yeah.
How many trips does 41 get a day?
About 20,000.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say it's not even that bad, and I live right on it, but it's not that bad. So.
Yep.
But it actually, it also differs depending on where you measure on 41.
Yeah.
But I'm sure right on 212 where
Yeah.
I am is a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was like 3,000, so I guess 3,000 is not bad.
So utilities will have to extend across the ravine to service this business park area. So they're currently stubbed off at Creek Road and Chaska Creek Boulevard. So where the new MSB building is being constructed today, that'll have to extend south across the ravine and connect into the new street system proposed here. But that would basically kind of open the doors for the development here to develop further. We do anticipate a future water tower in this area. The developer has kind of segmented the northerly lot kind of at the end of the proposed cul-de-sac here for that water tower site. Additionally, a city substation is positioned over on this north side as well, and kind of geared towards the tradition side of the area out towards Highway 212. Both of those pieces are not required with this first phase of development, but we'll continue to evaluate the need for both of those pieces as development continues to occur out here. This is not Chaska electric territory at this time, so the Big Woods Business Park is currently in Minnesota Valley's territory. However, there is kind of a long-term plan that the city of Chaska would absorb that area into our electric territory in the next 15 years or so. Trails and sidewalks, definitely an important piece, and Matt kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. The importance of having this connectivity into these working areas and connected into kind of those more regional systems so that people have more options to bike and walk to work if they can. So the proposed extensions for pedestrian facilities with this development would include the extension of the city trail across the ravine and into the northern cul-de-sac that would run along the eastern side of Public Road A and into County Road 44, Big Woods Boulevard, and extend kind of on that northern side. So as Councilmember Gra mentioned, that extension doesn't exist today. So with this kind of first phase of development, it would bring that full loop into existence into the regional trail that exists on the east side of County Road 11. So that'll give workers or even just everyday walkers another looping system here along kind of the business park area and County Road pedestrian facilities. In addition, a sidewalk would be on that west side of the Spine Road or Public Road A as well. And then some other trail extensions are also proposed. One is proposed along the stormwater pond on the west side of the site and kind of connect into the wooded ravine system along the north side of the property. And there's kind of these future plans to, again, provide for more of those passive trail components to extend into the wooded ravine system so people can really use that as an amenity. Another important objective out here is providing outdoor gathering space for the workers and people who are going to be visiting or using the walking facilities here. For Building 1 site, they do have one area proposed on site, kind of where the main entrance is on the south side of the building, where they'll have tables and a ride shelter for people who carpool, and then some landscaping. So we have kind of asked for a further revision or refinement to this area just to make it a more desirable place to rest for workers, to really be intentional with the landscaping around that space to make it a place that workers would like to rest during their breaks. They've also highlighted an area that'll be in a city-owned outlot, kind of where that trail extension would come off the cul-de-sac and extend across the ravine. There's opportunity there to make that into a rest spot or a place where people can come off the trail and rest for a little bit. Screening, landscaping, and tree preservation. So this is kind of an important piece that ties into the Greenbelt area and ensuring that the view sheds primarily from the key community entrance and major roadway abutments are vegetated and lush as much as possible. They have provided a pretty significant screening plan, mainly in the Greenbelt area, with kind of those few refinement areas that we've highlighted earlier. An additional spot we've asked for further refinement is on the east side of their property that abuts Public Road A. This is right where their additional van lot and queuing spot is, to help screen that area with berming and landscaping along that edge. And then some other menial refinements with their boulevard trees and understory as well into final. The building, getting into the design of the building, again, this is a 218,000 square foot building, 40 feet tall. The building will kind of represent pretty similar to this example image on the top here. So the materials proposed are a concrete form liner, which is more of this variated texture that you see on the bottom left. It's also used in this top image here too. That'll be kind of a main class 1 material, as well as clear story windows and glazing or windows at the front entrance of the building on the south side here. And then the majority or the rest of the building would be just smooth concrete panels. The parking, they are proposing a pretty hefty parking plan on site, which is kind of more than double we would require for this size of building, but given the operation of accommodating both employees and parking delivery vans on site, they do need a little bit more parking than your average user. So they are a little over 1,300 stalls on site, but they meet their requirement from a city code perspective and what they need for their operations. And then lastly, there is a smaller accessory building proposed on site because they have delivery vans parked there, and as a part of their main operation, they will have a service building for the delivery vans on site, and this building will be situated kind of on the north side of the property here where I'm showing my cursor. So kind of obscured from view for the most part. Just a few other things that the applicant will need to work on for their final submittal. They'll need to work through an approval with the appropriate agencies that review wetland impacts. They do propose a few impacts with their first phase, so they'll need to work through that. Because there's a comprehensive plan amendment included as a part of this request, it formally needs to be approved by Met Council, who are the oversight agency of comprehensive plans. So they'll need to work through and get that process completed before final approval. Continuing to work on their Greenbelt implementation strategies and how they'll preserve the areas within the Greenbelt in the future. And then lastly, this project is proposing to utilize TIF to pay for some of the improvements out there, so they will need to work through that process with both council and the EDA. So in conclusion, there's 3 motions being requested this evening. One is to adopt resolution number 2026-59, which is approving the preliminary site and building plan and preliminary plat. And then adoption of ordinance number 1081, which is approving the rezoning to planned multi-use district 24. And then adoption of resolution number 2026-60, which is approving the comprehensive plan amendment. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we do have representatives from both the end user and the applicant here if you have specific questions for them.
Anybody have any additional questions for staff?
No, I was just going to comment mostly just for the developer that I appreciate the work that was done to really give us insight into what it will look like from roads with the different views. I think that really helped a lot because that was one of the things I called out at concept was that we'd want to see that done really well, or at least I would. And I feel good about what it looks like from the road because it is something that is zoned to be in the end a business park, and so it makes sense, but also trying to balance that, and I think it balances it well. So just want to commend the team for doing that, and I feel like the visuals went above and beyond to kind of help us see that, and that was very much appreciated. So those are really my biggest comment, or my only comment. So
Okay. Why don't you guys come forward and talk a little?
Jake Kurth, Wisconsin Properties, developer on the project. Thank you guys very much for having us. Mayor Hubbard, thank you very much. Council, thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions. I know traffic was something that we hit on throughout the presentation. Thank you very much, Liz. I know you've said the presentation now 4 times. I think this is the 4th, and I know we have 2 more to go after this. So I don't know if there's an abbreviated version.
2 more, 1 more.
Well, 1 more with you guys. But
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Met Council, yeah.
Well,
No, it's planning.
planning.
Oh,
Yeah.
planning, yeah.
yeah.
It's a little different at that case, but, okay.
Yeah. But no, we heard loud and clear that specifically the green belt is something that we need to take ownership on and be respectful of, specifically given that there are 2 large community entrances. So we thought that I'm a big time visual person, so images are great on a 2D scale. 3D renderings are awesome, but videography is getting almost too lifelike. So with that being said, we already know are continuing to work with staff on the backside, and we will continue to work with you guys, not just in this phase, but also the future phases as things progress. From a traffic perspective, absolutely, we hear you guys loud and clear. Safety is one of our main points or topics that we always try to think through as we're designing. In addition, we always work to enhance the community as a whole. So from a connectivity, we know that Big Woods Boulevard is at times dicey, especially with how it just hasn't been improved. And we know Jonathan Carver and Big Woods as well, which is a future proposed project by the county, is something that we'll need to coordinate with as well. So, with that being said,
Go ahead. So I think, talk a little bit about the end user. I think some of the times, when people see a project of this scale and size, and there's lots of questions about who and what, I think some of the, let's talk about some of the, the curiosity of the opportunities that are coming forward with this project. Like, how many jobs is this providing? And
I'm going to allow Jason to talk about this a little bit.
okay.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the economic benefits here.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jason Venglis. I'm head of Central U.S. Expansion and Economic Development Policy for Amazon, as you saw on the slide. This project will create kind of 2 different buckets of jobs. The first is what we would call under-the-roof jobs. That's about up to 300 new jobs that are direct employees of us. They receive full benefits starting on day 1. After 90 days, they receive full access to our Career Choice program, which is $5,250 of education prepayment. We prepay the tuition so long as it's an eligible program, which they can get a certificate program, ESL program, a GED, really anything, so long as that program is enrolled in career choice, they can access that. After a year, they get access to 20 weeks of paid time off for parental leave as well. This market, the rate obviously hasn't been set yet for this market, but on average, these folks make about $20 to $21 an hour. That goes up to about $29 to $30 an hour with total compensation. The other bucket of jobs are about 450 or so drivers that will be on the road. Those folks work with full-time for our delivery service partners. We have not recruited those yet, but the DSPs are recruited generally locally to run a small business out of the last mile facility. So we provide the technology, the access to the facility, and access to vans and other equipment, and then the DSP runs those programs for us. That's kind of the two.
So the DSP, is that like, are they then having independent contractors as their drivers, or are they a company that has employees?
Yep.
Again, salaries. Benefits.
Exactly right. Yep. So we contract with the small business, the DSP, and the DSP hires full-time the drivers.
Okay.
So there'll be multiple DSPs that will work out of this facility. So that'll range. DSPs typically range from like 40 to 100 drivers. So that hasn't been yet worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good to know. It's good to kind of see the delineation. Thank you for answering those questions.
Yeah, and I just want to say, so my role is kind of unique. While I sit at the front of the project, I also stay on after the project. And so our goal is always to be a good neighbor. So as there are growing pains with any site when it launches, we want to be responsive to that. And so I'll be a key resource for all of you as you hear back from constituents if there are any challenges. We obviously try to launch with our best foot forward, but occasionally that is the case. And we do have access to technology related to GPS and routing and those kinds of things, so we certainly do our best to make sure that both from a line haul but also a van perspective that we can kind of mitigate any of those traffic issues ahead of time.
I appreciate hearing that, and it's nice to hear that you're going to be on site, long after. It's not just, come set it up and then take off, that you're a familiar face now. So, yeah. I think just having that level of communication to, I think some of the things, I live off of Engler, and I live off of 212, so I do hear a lot of highway traffic. I mean, especially at night when you do hear the larger vehicles. I think one of the things is as they off-ramp, you can hear the braking if they're not braking appropriate. So just being a good neighbor, being, good to the residents that are living in the adjacent neighborhood communities to make sure that, you're being respectful and mindful of the safety, which I'm sure you will be. So I appreciate you coming up here. And is there anything else you want to add about the building or site or anything pertinent?
I think that, I touched on I think at P&Z, but we do have some sustainability initiatives that I think are unique to this building that we're excited about, which is low carbon footprint concrete, as well as a low carbon footprint rebar in the building. And it's also going through a process of kind of carbon totaling, looking at our construction, and that will go to a larger national build program. So really kind of some exciting things that are unique and different and new for this market, for us at least. And we're always kind of working to drive the sustainability initiatives across the board. So there is a no idling policy. This facility will launch with probably up to about 50%. That'll vary based on our vendors' availability of the EDVs, but most of those vehicles will launch with electric vehicles. So there is no idling when those vehicles are on. Obviously, they're quieter as well. So there's a lot of initiatives to make these buildings fit better in the neighborhoods that they're in, whether that's an industrial park or we try not to build as much as we can next to residential areas.
Yeah, no, understandably. And I appreciate you mentioning that, because that is something of importance, and it's something that, I think right now people are looking forward to see the environmental stewardism that, is put forth, and are we using sustainable products, and are we being kind to the environment and surroundings, especially with larger buildings of that scale. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for the partnership. We appreciate it.
Don't run away, I got some questions.
Oh,
Did you have
okay.
questions
I,
first?
I had, well, first I wanted to say thank you to both of you for all of the time you've put into all of these new plans and presentations, and Liz as well. It's exciting. So there's always, with anything new, there's, a bit of hesitation, but it's also very exciting, and exciting for the new jobs, exciting for Chaska that you chose here to be your next home, and exciting for Skanal that you're going to keep developing that part of Chaska. So very exciting all around. I had two questions. When you guys put your distribution center in Shakopee, did you learn anything from, because they were going on to 169 rather than 212, but it's still very similar. Did you learn anything from that one on like what worked and what didn't that you'll be putting into place here?
They're different kinds of facilities. So
Okay.
so that's what we'd call a first mile facility. So you can kind of think of our network as kind of three legs of the stool, first, middle, and last mile. That's where all of the product is stored. So it's difficult for us to say that we would learn something because the operations are very different in the way that they operate. There are no delivery vans. And
It's more semis there.
there are a lot more line hauls there,
yeah.
and there's a much larger employee population at that facility.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm glad you specified that they're two different facilities, because I've seen tons of semis over there. It makes sense if they're bringing product to a distribution center. And then the last thing, I spent several years with Walmart, and distribution centers are a key part of the Walmart business, and so they're located strategically where they should be. But one of the things that they do have a problem with is vandalism and theft on their properties, because people know that that's where product is, and why would you not try to get that? Do you have any type of plan for securing? Some of the other industrial parks in Chaska have come up with like gates and security features and things like that. Even as a city, we found like our police vehicles should be in a parking ramp or a locked facility so that they stay safe and running well. Any of that kind of stuff come into play for you?
Yeah, so I'd say two things on that. One, this facility won't carry product longer than really like 10 hours at a time. So when the product comes in from that sort of midnight to 6 a.m. hour on line hauls, it's already been packaged. And so it's already being brought in off the truck from associates and being moved through the facility for dispatch.
So it's literally just going onto its delivery truck? It's not
exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing sorted.
Yeah.
The facility is secured. There is a loss prevention team that works on site at all times, and we work with the police department. Some sites do go through a site hardening process if that's the need. This market, thankfully, it doesn't show that that's required for us at launch.
Well, I'm not saying that it's a dangerous place. I'm saying, will it strain public safety at all, was my question, because I know some of the Walmart ones have had some tough times in the areas that they're in. So
sure.
Just in general, I was on the pharmacy side, so we're talking more drugs, but in general, it was a concern, and so I was thinking from a public safety perspective, was there a plan to ensure that kind of, not that they're not going to come and help you, but that they're not called all night long?
Yeah, we do. So each of our loss prevention teams at launch, they'll put together, it's about a 40-page document that they'll share with the police department what is in terms of our protocol inside. We don't find at these particular facilities, I mean, obviously there's disagreements with employees or there's challenges that happen on site, but by and large, the smaller employee size relative to Shakopee or these other locations, we don't see those challenges, but we certainly have a team that tries to tie in with the police department closely, and then anytime we can give tour to life and safety in the site so that they know the lay of the land and what that looks like.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. You took one of my questions, which was good, because I some of the feedback, I'm reading through some emails, right, is why can't this be done in Shakopee? You addressed that, and which, again, it's good to know that there are different facilities, different type of facilities. So you answered that, so appreciate that. The other question, I'm just curious, because I think as a consumer, I'm curious, does this enhance any of the services to residents, like same-day delivery? Does that open up markets? Because some, like, if you're based closer, it's like within hours of delivery. Will that, for the Chaska residents, increase like same-day delivery or within so many hours delivery? Do you know that? Is that in the plan? Or?
Yeah, having a facility like this in your backyard generally expedites delivery at a much faster rate. So I'm not, typically if you're a Prime member, you're getting 24 hours or 2 days or less. And that promise, when we open a delivery station in communities, we typically start seeing deliveries in 24 hours or less. You'll likely see expanded same-day delivery services as well as a result of this. That's part and parcel because of broader investments that we're making in the metro area with those services, but you'll certainly see more access to products quickly.
Can I ask one question before you go on,
Yeah, go ahead.
tagging on that? Is this going to have one of those pickup lockers where you can pick up your order?
No, we don't do that at delivery stations. We don't obviously want folks to come onto the site, but that's a great question, yeah.
Well, I echo, well, I didn't necessarily want to be the one that started throwing all the questions, but I do have a vested interest. It is, a lot of my constituents are in that space, my neighbors are in that space. I do live, like I said, just down the road. I do appreciate the time and the effort and the visuals. Again, right? Because the good and the bad of who you are comes with a lot of baggage, right? And so I think asking those questions and being appropriate and answering which you did, I appreciate. I think it is, you've heard it loud and clear, like the worry is always going to be, and there's going to be skepticism regardless of what you say or what you don't say of like what's going to go into the neighborhoods, and I get that. But again, I do appreciate you for looking at Chaska and the jobs and economic growth that it creates, as well as just being frontal with like, hey, here's what we look at. We put these images together and that type of thing. So, when I'm sure you love hearing when a council member's like, yeah, I'm in that neighborhood, and you're just waiting for all the questions that person comes from. But again, I appreciate you taking the time to be here and representing and answering those questions.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any questions? Or I think, I know that they're, like Councilmember Grodd mentioned, there are always concerns, right? How is this going to impact road safety, traffic? How is this going to impact the environment? How is this going to be on the infrastructure of our community, our utilities? And so I think one of the things to kind of note is that, the process of planning this is to go through and evaluate all of those factors and make sure that they're in compliance, and we have the additional factor of the green belt, and seeing that there's still some progress to be made to kind of fill in those gaps to make sure. But we do have stringent policy, and we stick to that because we want to ensure that when you guys do come into this community, that you are a valued partner to us. And I know that you bring economic benefit, but also being a valued partner to be, cohesively residing in this community along with other residents that have chosen Chaska, and especially in that kind of southwest corner of Chaska that is still actively developing. They're there because it is a little bit more rural in nature, but knowing that just as those homes got built, maybe 5-10 years ago or so, that the other parts are developing as well that are adjacent to that. So I know it's always like a long and arduous process. I appreciate you guys coming in and seeing the planning process, or coming through and, like you said, giving this presentation multiple times. But asking these sort of questions, and like I said, having that overall conversation about what, this being in the community and how does this fit and what the impacts will be, whether positive, negative, or both. Thank you for taking the time for being here. So with that, does anybody have any other comments or questions for either staff or our applicant?
I'll just say for staff, I'll think back, because I think one thing that wasn't necessarily cemented in my mind is the Savannah Way Collector completion. Because I think it's a good reminder as everyone's in that neighborhood thinking about how to get around to like the school as an example. We're all basing that based on what exists today, right? I looking at the map, that Savannah Way connection to Spring Lake, to the school, took that quick trip to Taco Bell space and everything like that, makes a lot of sense. And that doesn't exist today, and I don't expect every resident to like know it, because again, I kind of forgot about the timing of that, truthfully, to know that. So I think that was an important learning for me, and I think, hopefully I will continue to share that, and hopefully people are watching.
I just love that you gave me credit when it was Nate that brought it up.
Well, you talked about the grading of it. You tag team, you help. Because again, Because we make all the judgments based on what exists today and how that's going to impact. And I do think it's important to understand like what that plan is. We talked about the 212 interchange pieces. Because again, we make those value judgments on traffic based on what we witness here today, but there are other things planned. So I think that was a good add that wasn't in any of the material.
Also, the county road improvements.
Correct.
are going
County
to
road
be huge.
improvements.
Trails,
Yeah, that intersection
And the trails.
for a person who Monday through Friday for the last X amount of years of school has taken a left turn onto Jonathan Carver for Big Woods
Yeah.
and had to sit there and like do this because the road doesn't come at a good angle.
Can't come fast enough.
It can't
right?
come fast. It'll be great.
Yeah,
And like,
it's all system improvement. I mean, when you look at Southwest Chaska on the east and the west side of the freeway, what was great about creating a master plan back in like 2014 is it gave us a roadmap of knowing where to go. And now with like Savannah being put in the end of this summer, these improvements being done over in Big Woods, almost all those improvements have been done.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you really have that circulation around there that makes it safer and easier for people.
and again, I'll say, which is a good message to hear because, the original reaction is panic of traffic based on what the current infrastructure. We have to think about the future infrastructure and the timing lines up well, which is great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, appreciate you rounding back to that in regards to this. So, all right.
All right, is that in motion?
Yeah. So, does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-59 and 2026-60,
Let's see.
approving the Big Woods Business Park Phase 1.
I think we have to do them separately. So let's do.
Okay, 2026-59.
Yes, thank you. So we have a motion from Councilmember Shevlin
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Hatfield. Any other discussion? All right. All right. Well, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That motion is adopted. And then I would entertain a motion to adopt. We're going to go in order. Ordinance number 1081, approving the rezoning from rural residential to planned multi-use district.
So moved.
All right, so a motion from Councilmember Benish
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Hatfield. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ordinance is adopted, and then we have a third motion to adopt resolution number 2026-60, approving the comprehensive plan amendment to allow for conservation cluster development guide, the former Delgreen Township parcels to be open space and business park, and expand the metropolitan urban service area.
So moved.
All right, motion from Councilmember Gra.
Second.
And a second from Councilmember Benish. One discussion point, so I know this has got to go before the Met Council. That was one thing I guess I didn't think to ask. Is that in relation to the MUSA line? Is that why?
That's for the comp plan.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the comp plan
Yeah,
amendment.
since the comp plan amendment includes the expansion of the MUSA and also land use change to account for the cluster development component within the Greenbelt.
Okay.
Well, and on top of that, we couldn't do land use planning within Dahlgren Township in the previous comp plan because we didn't have an orderly annexation with that.
Sure.
And so this establishes the land use planning for that area within what has now been annexed into the city.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just wanted to make sure to spell that out because I remember that was one key point that you had put in there and I forgot to pull that part out. So, all right. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Well, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Can I ask a question while they're packing up? When you annex something, does it become city limits of Chaska then, or is it always an annex of Dahlgren?
No, it becomes city limits.
So does the tax base and the all that expand to that too then?
You guys are doing great sticking it out here. I give you a lot of credit. I feel kind of bad that you chose this particular one. You always choose the first meeting of the month because it's non-planning items
Why don't you
usually.
tell them to speed it up?
If you decided to leave, we wouldn't write
This will
you
be the
out.
most riveting part of your evening, though. So we have 8D.
That's the most fun.
It is, because Noel gets to take this away. Adopt Resolution 2026-57, ratifying the sale of the Chaska EDA Series 2026A bonds.
Well, before I turn it over to Noel, I will say I always like when we take up bond sales, and I'm like super happy and smiley about it. So we ended up doing very well in the market last week for our latest bond sale, and Noel can go through and
Noel's
sort of,
face doesn't look quite as excited as yours. He
Oh,
looks.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, he looks nervous, and you're like smiling.
Oh, no, we're both excited about this, but I'll turn it over to Noel to just sort of go through the process and then what came back.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Appreciate the opportunity to bring before you tonight the action to ratify the bond sale that we completed last Wednesday, June 10th. This was proposed to be a $57,700,000 par amount bond for three specific purposes. The first one is the construction proceeds for MSB2, which is currently under construction. The second part of it was to refinance the temporary financing we did a year ago when we acquired the site for MSB, so that would be financed over a long-term basis. And then the third project is the rehab of the City Hall Plaza project area. So all three of these were incorporated into one bond issue. Back on May 4th, we had a parameters resolution before the council where you requested that the Chaska EDA proceed with the issuance of this debt on behalf of the city. So this bond that was sold was actually completed within the parameters established and was issued by the Chaska EDA. The use of the EDA allows us to create a lease relationship where the city is pledging annual lease payments to the EDA over the 30-year term of the bonds, and at the end of the bonds, then the city will take title of the property once again. So as a part of their action you're taking tonight, you'll be ratifying the bond sale, but also authorizing the real estate transactions, because some of the parcels pledged for the City Hall Plaza are in the name of the city and need to be transferred to the name of the EDA. And so that's included in the actions in the resolution as drafted by Bond Council. With that, I want to go through a brief presentation. This was put together by Chris Hogan, who is the municipal advisor to the city of Chaska. She is with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors. She could not attend tonight because she's actually reporting on the sale at another community who actually was in the market today.
Oh.
So she had a busy schedule. Matt is correct. We had a very successful sale last Wednesday. And for that reason, the mayor as the president of the EDA and Matt as the executive director were able to sign off on the purchase agreement. So the original par amount that we took to market was the $55 million. We've talked about the use of the proceeds, the security, which is the lease pledge, and then the bonds are going to be callable with a 10-year call. So it's a 30-year bond. It'll be callable in about 10 years. And the reason we put this call provision in is so that as the outstanding bonds have a shorter maturity, you're moving forward on the yield curve. In the future, there's hopefully the anticipation that the interest rates will be lower for the shorter term bonds, and that's when we have opportunities to capture those debt service savings in the future. Just like you would refinance your home mortgage, by having the call provision after 10 years, we can look at that as a part of an annual analysis. So next page, please. Back in mid-April, when we sized this bond, Chris Hogan made an initial projection, assuming that we'd have a TIC, or true interest cost, of 4.779%. That was the structure that we brought forward to council. She refreshed that estimate last week, just before the sale. That's at 4.487%. The markets have been a little up and down. Inflation has been up. There was also the inflation report that came out last Wednesday. But overall, the markets the last few weeks have been rather favorable for issuance. I think Matt will even have some comments on that from his visit to New York recently. When we sold the bonds, the low bid was actually 4.399%, just under 4.4%. So with that, next slide. With that, we had very good results. Wells Fargo National Association was the winning bid with the 4.39% bid. The next lowest bidder was only 1 basis point higher. So they came in at 4.41%. That tells us that these bids are very competitive. And we actually had 6 bidders. And that gives us a good read of the market, because if we have 3 or more bidders, that's considered a competitive market. If we have less than 3, then we have to go through some additional analysis with the municipal advisor to make sure that those rates are consistent with the market. One other thing that I looked at when we went into the market last week is I get this weekly rate update from Baker Tilly. And they always show on there a 5, 10, 15, 30-year scale for municipal bonds that are AAA rated. Our interest rate at the 4.39 was about 12 basis points higher than a AAA. So that's a very tight spread. And considering that that's AAA, we're AA, and these bonds were rated at A- because they're lease revenue, not GO, we were very competitive in the market. So this was a very successful sale. Chris was very pleased, and she was very happy. Matt was very happy when we gave him the results. He actually joined us online when they opened the bids, so he could see the final results.
I wanted to join in the joy. I mean, to give you a sense, I mean, compared to what we were sort of planning the building program around, or at least I was, compared to what we got for interest rates, I mean, it's over $150,000 savings a year. I mean, it's significant when you're talking about this. So the other part that Noel had mentioned, I was out in New York last Monday with MMPA because we had to do a rating call with, because we're actually going out for selling debt and we haven't done it for 10 years. Our banker that we work with, I asked him, because it was the day before our sale, I said, do you know that we're in the market? He goes, oh, I saw it on the calendar. I said, how do you think we're going to do? He goes, you guys are going to do really good. So, and it gets back to what Noel is talking about. The last 2 weeks of debt sale in the market has really been favorable. So we couldn't have timed this any better.
Sometimes luck is the best way to sell a debt.
Sometimes it just is.
Next slide, please. What we're showing here is just the revised structure. I want to just go through a couple things. We go to market with a general par amount of $55,380,000. When the bids came in, some of the short-term bonds were bid with a premium. That way they can put a higher coupon for when they have to resell that to the secondary market. As a result of that, we generated about $1,089,000 of premium. Typically, we do not keep that premium. What we do is we reduce the size of the bond issue. Because we still generate the same amount of proceeds we need for construction, but we can reduce the size of the bond and reduce future debt service. We released most of that premium except for $500,000. We kept that portion for the City Hall Plaza project because, as you heard earlier tonight, we had about $3.5 million for financing. The bids came in at 3.6. When we structured this, we structured it around $4 million, knowing that if we didn't need that extra $500,000, we can shift that over to the MSB2 project to cover any contingencies or FF&E or other needs that might arise. So there's 3 different projects here, and the 2 of them, we can move bond proceeds back and forth. So we'll monitor that during the outstanding debt period. So as you can see...
Yeah, we actually got the bids back on the City Hall Plaza literally the day after we sold the bonds here. So, but I think we kept it pretty conservative with the $500,000 just to make sure we had enough, but we will have plenty.
The structure here just shows that this is going to be a 30-year bond. It is callable after 10 years, and there are term bonds at the end. What they're doing there is the underwriters are saying, like, I'm going to take these last 5 years, 26 through 30, and just roll them into one bond that'll mature in 2030. That makes it easier for large institutional buyers like insurance companies to buy that long-term bond because they're buying a larger par amount. The trustee will collect debt service funds each year, hold that in reserve, and then pay that out on that 30th year. So this is a very normal structure to see as a part of the process. Next page. Prior to the issuance of this debt, we did meet with S&P, who is the bond rating agency. We did have 2 of their analysts come out on site and visit us on May 4th. This gave us the afternoon, I know Elise, you were a part of that presentation that day, to actually share with them what our building program is, how we have raised levies to support that program over 4 years, what we have done to increase our general fund balance for 5 consistent years, and set aside the $300,000 a year that we're putting aside in our general fund budget to help provide those necessary reserves to support the bond rating. Those were the types of things we reviewed with them, but then we also took a tour of the city and shared with them what are the plans so they could actually see the public safety facility where we had the meeting, see the site for MSB2. We talked about the library down here in downtown. They had a chance to see the downtown area, the future plans for City Hall as the 4th building. We got a chance to share with them the new developments that have come with the new residential rooftops, as well as a lot of the green fields for the new industrial parks like we were just discussing tonight. So these 2 analysts had not been out to the city before.
They're moving here now, right?
What's that?
I said, and they're moving here now, right?
They were very impressed. They appreciated what they saw. The last time we had an analyst here was 10 years ago in 2015, and that analyst is still with S&P and is the supervisor for these 2. So they knew about Chaska, but I think it was really good for them to have an experience to actually see and understand what it is that Chaska is. I think they left understanding that our electric fund is unique for the city, that provides us some cash flow support that normally you wouldn't see in a city that didn't have that extra cash flow. And so I think they left very well understanding how we operate and why we're able to support this debt the way we do.
You should have took them to the community center so they could have given us another bond for roofing.
We actually did go through the community center, and we did talk about that. That will be a future plan that we are going to be looking at as a funding need in the future, but the focus right now is the building program, and then that would be teed up next.
I love it.
And the fact that they understood that we're doing these long-range plans helps support the bond rating. They actually, in the credit report that's in the packet, they actually talk about the ongoing 5-year planning process, the anticipation of growth, and keeping up with our infrastructure. The fact that we're building this water treatment plant, that we're going to be back to you with another bond sale in about a month, is really showing that we are planning for that future growth so we don't get caught from, behind the growth curve. And so that's actually discussed in that credit report, that planning is a strength of the city. And when you've got those types of strong comments in the report, it makes it very receptive for underwriters who are looking at our deal to be positive about it and then get the type of competitive bids that we actually saw.
That's amazing.
Next page. So I was talking a little bit here about the credit rating. We've talked about the budgetary changes that we've made, the commitment to the planning process. 2 of the things that they do like to always put in the bond rating report is what factors could affect an upgrade. Right now, the bond rating is AA- with a stable outlook. Things that could improve our overall position would be if we continue to build our reserves and have sufficient cash flow and demonstrate that we're meeting the lease obligations that the city has pledged to the EDA each year as we start this 30-year repayment period. Factors that could potentially be a downgrade, either in the outlook or the rating, would be if we weren't able to maintain those reserves in our fund balance. So that's why we do address that as a part of our annual budgeting process for our operating funds. Or if there was a significant change in our debt load. A lot of our debt is coming off very quickly over the next 10 years. Some of that's related to our downtown street program. We've shared with S&P the fact that we're taking a pause, and then there'll be another street replacement program in the near future. When that debt starts rolling off, there'll be new improvement bonds for that next phase of the street. And again, they anticipate that as we plan for that, we'll maintain reasonable debt levels. Next page, please.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
The bonding tour that we had discussed with like Lucy Ream and Julia Coleman and all that for City Square West, is that anything related to this bonding issuance that we just went through?
Those projects were not a part of this bonding.
Okay.
I know what you're trying to communicate is who is the city of Chaska, what is the specific
Yes.
project, what's the benefit of that project. That's the similar intent of what we were trying to do with the analysts from S&P.
Okay.
So that they would understand who the city is, what we're trying to do, and how we're trying
Sure.
to do it. And so that's where the tour, we can tell them there's a green field, we're going to build some businesses.
Mm-hmm.
When they can see, oh, it's on an intersection on Highway 212.
Mm-hmm.
This is the actual, area, it makes it real.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we show them the concept plans, it begins to, they can link those two together. In a way, those analysts are our advocate when they go into rating committee at S&P, because they're then saying, here's all the analytics we've done.
Yep.
We've done all the metrics to calculate the ratios. Now here's the story and why we feel this is a strong credit.
Yeah.
So they very much are conveying our story on our behalf to the rating committee.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So before you tonight is a resolution. This is the resolution by the city that will ratify the sale. The sale is already done. We've committed to the underwriter. We signed the sales agreement last weekend. But under the parameters resolution, we're obligated to bring the results back to council and report them to you. There will be a similar action later tonight as a part of the EDA agenda when they will actually ratify the actual sale resolution later tonight. So with that, if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to entertain that.
Anybody have any questions for Noel? I appreciate the presentation, kind of breaking everything down, talking about, the three different entities of this particular and bond sale, and then, kind of everything that goes into it, and also the rating tour. I did not realize that it was so in-depth.
I didn't either.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you
Really
consider
kind of-
what they have writing on it,
Take their little magnifying glass.
yeah.
Did they play around the town course?
No.
You should have given them a free round of
I
town
know. Got their little calculators.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the only thing they care about is numbers.
They do.
Yeah.
But
They
you've
don't-
got to be thinking that makes money too. When you see
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I appreciate, we're always in good hands with you, Noel. So thank you for all of your hard work.
It's really a joy to be a part of the city staff team. There's a great group in finance, but then they're also working across departments to pull these projects together, because it's a team effort to figure out the scope of the project, what the costs are, and then try to put those, numbers on the street to get financing for them. So
Yeah, and it is such an intermoving puzzle, right?
Yep.
You want to make sure you kind of hit things at the right time. And it is huge savings, $150,000 over the course. It's huge. So,
It's millions,
yeah, just appreciate your insight and your knowledge and just your history of good work. So thank you.
we'll ask for action on this one, and we'll be back next month to do the next one.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, motion to adopt resolution 2026-57, ratifying the sale of the lease revenue bond series 2026A by the Economic Development Authority of Chaska and authorizing the execution of related documents. Did I read the right thing?
I think that's the EDA meeting one,
Oh, my bad.
because we have EDA next.
I know.
council.
Yeah.
That's right.
Am I right?
I didn't hear the first part, but it should be the city council motion to
I think
adopt resolution 2026-57,
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
ratifying the sale.
All right.
So moved.
All right. I'm sorry. It just threw me off there. All right. So we have a motion from Councilmember Hatfield
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Grau. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right. That moves us out of our action items for those that are still tuned in with us. And that moves us on to bills. Anybody have a question on the bills?
I just have one quick question. On page 1, Alpha Wireless Communications, so City Hall door access wiring and some readers and more access wires. Does that mean it's going to be fobs?
Well, sort of. We actually do have them on our doors
Okay,
now.
nice. I didn't even notice.
So it's like a little thing we have in our key that we can.
So much
go into.
easier.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was hoping it was because I just felt for you.
We just had to wait until our past mayor had left.
I know, because I got a key fob.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's very exciting. So I was excited to see that on there. That was my only question.
Whether or not it's programmed to open the door is a whole other
Yeah.
thing. No, I don't know if it's a question, but I just saw that there was like beaver relocation or removal. How often do we have to do that?
A lot.
But was it real life beavers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In
I had
fact,
someone write me like a
if
year ago
you-
about beavers in Fireman Park.
if you walk on the wooden boardwalk on the north side of the lake, there's probably a fair chance you'll see a beaver
Yeah.
like with like a couple feet of you.
They're
'cause
always
have-
there, but they're muskrats, the little kind.
No, there's beavers over there too, and beavers are very destructive.
Yeah, they are very destructive.
So they take down trees pretty easily, and so we have to relocate them, or else it destroys stuff.
Yeah, I just
Are they
thought
these
that
little
was
like rat-looking things that with the
Oh
little
no,
skinny tails?
they're big.
get the
Oh,
little
I've never
flapper
seen
tails
those.
and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the little ones that.
There's
also
also otters in there.
There's otters,
Yeah, so you're probably thinking of the otters.
and there's muskrats, and there's stuff like that. But the beavers are big.
I've never seen
Cute
them.
Yeah.
but destructive. No, anyways, I was just tickled when I
Yeah.
saw that on there. So
Sounds like an interesting. beaver
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you like to be the guy that's
How do you
doing
actually
it?
relocate
I
a
know.
beaver?
Well, he was getting paid well,
Find a nice
so
place for them to go, and you hope they stay there.
But do you have to pick them up and like move them?
Yeah,
he probably put him
Like
in a live
trap.
trap.
they put them in a trap. Yeah.
It's not like you take him off on a
Well,
leash or
teeth would
something like that.
That's how I do it if I
You
did.
got your special whistle pipe that you summon the beaver. Stop.
Has that, and on a more serious, is that what's taking down all those trees on that north
Swimming into the
edge?
bikini.
Or was it the little muskrat guy that always swims around?
No, it's the beavers. And it's not the only place we have it, but it's the most noticeable
Yeah,
place.
he's taken down
Yeah.
a bunch of trees in the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah. So, anyways, just thought that was fun to see in a way, but not fun. Okay. Anybody else have a question on a bill? All right. Hearing none, I'd make a motion. I'll make a motion to pay the bills. How about that?
Second.
All right. So we have a motion from the mayor and a second from Councilmember Benish. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hatfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Benish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shovlin?
Yes.
Councilmember McGraw?
Aye.
Mayor Howard?
Aye. All right, bills are paid. All right, that moves us on to other business. Michaela, or Councilmember Hatfield, sorry. We'll start with you.
Just really quick things. Super bummed about the first farmer's market getting canceled, but you guys, it's gonna happen this week. The weather's gonna be
It's
good.
supposed to rain all week.
No,
Yeah, the
it's
weather
not,
looks
not on
great
Thursday.
this week.
It looks amazing. I'm so excited. I did, though, get the opportunity to get some really amazing bread and scones from a vendor that was supposed to be there. She posted on Facebook and did porch pickup, and it was delicious. So she's going to be there on Thursday. So if you love sourdough anything, she's going to have it there. You should definitely go to her booth. So I'm very excited for the farmer's market. And then also excited for Chaska Rocks coming up on Saturday. Both Reese Glover and the Arch Allies. I'm really excited for Reese. Like, his music is phenomenal. I'm excited for both, but Reese is, like, really good music. He's the opener. So, that'll be fun. And then really the final thing is just happy Father's Day with that coming up to all the dads. So, that's all I had.
Great report. All right, Councilmember Benish.
Not much, just looking forward to Chaska Rocks on Saturday and hoping to make it out there with the whole family and have a good time, so.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. And it goes towards a good cause. So,
Yep.
all right, Councilmember Shovlin.
Actually have nothing other than to say happy Father's Day to all the dads.
All right, great report.
I think I remember the Mother's Day was a really nice sunny day, warm.
Yes, it was beautiful.
Now Father's Day, 59 and rainy.
You just told me it wasn't going to rain this week.
Yeah,
I
good
just
thing.
got-
Minnesota,
I
lots
just
can
got
happen.
corrected that it wasn't going to rain this week, so.
I think he was being sarcastic.
Optimistic.
Yeah.
All right, Councilmember Grah.
A couple questions, just because it came up a few times in the interviews for the downtown business. What's the update with Cooper's in the grocery store? I forget what the name is called. Just
La Bonita.
yes. What's the update there?
Yeah, Julie talked to them, 2 weeks ago? It wasn't long ago. that she talked to them because we wanted to sort of get a update on where they're at. My sense is that things have not changed for them much, that, they were pretty dramatically impacted financially from the metro surge that happened, and with their Richfield store, and probably the reason they were most impacted is because it happened right after they opened. And so I think until they get themselves back on their feet, I think it's going to be tough for them to move forward, is my guess.
Okay, that's fair. It's
Yeah.
hard to hear, but understood.
Yeah.
Understandable.
But do they already take over that building? Like,
They own it.
They own
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
okay.
they definitely own it.
They just have to sink costs
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
major
Yeah, I
renovation.
knew that.
And then I had a question. I'm not sure if it's related to the city or if it's just homeowners, but on Huttermark, that stretch of all the hedge that's all chopped down, what is that?
I have no idea.
I do. I have a little bit of.
Well, it's the
clarification.
It's a Jonathan Association
Yeah,
that
it's the
ended up
Jonathan Association.
doing
and-
it.
If you're interested.
What's that?
I know.
Okay, cool.
I'm curious. 'Cause
Yay!
it's very dramatically. It sticks out as you're driving down that road, just like, what is going on here?
All right.
It was a Jonathan Association effort. As a resident of the association, there was an email that did go out that talked about, I guess it's maintenance of that hedge and trying to reestablish flowering lilac bushes, making them.
So the intent is going to grow back.
Yeah.
But they
Yep.
didn't just prune it, they whacked it. I mean, it's not.
Correct.
Yeah, they literally just
Yeah,
chopped the
they
whole
did.
I mean, I'm assuming they have, someone knows what they're doing. I mean, I'm not judging.
I
I'm
would
not
encourage
bringing
any
it up.
further
I probably would look
questions,
just
go to
like
the
that.
Jonathan Neighborhood Association.
I will say that they started on the far east side and then moved their way west over like a 2 to 3 week period. And I will say that the ones that are in the far east side
They've learned?
look like they're actually growing back. So
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
It is very dramatic.
it's
yeah.
very dramatic.
yeah, I like that. And largely why I was going down that road is my last point. So the Baseball Association hosted the Chaska Classic this week, which was at Pioneer, Lions, and Community. 56 teams played and came Friday. Started Friday afternoon because in the baseball world, parents don't work anymore on Fridays, it appears, because there's games always on Fridays afternoons. And then Saturday into Sunday, which last year was a bad weekend because it rained. This week was like the most amazing weekend ever for baseball. So 56 teams, kind of some notable things. 2 teams from Bismarck. My 11-year-old played a team from Bismarck, and they had some connection back here. But yeah, they came all the way from Bismarck out here for the first time. And they actually had an 11 AAA team and I think a 10 AAA team come from Bismarck. And then other fun fact I share with Lil, which is just kind of fun. If you would have stumbled across Pioneer Park baseball fields on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you would have seen a Hall of Famer named Joe Mauer, who was here attending because he coaches his son. And, for the record, I saw lots of pictures of people. I mean, he's got to know that everyone's going to know who he is. And everyone told him, he was just awesome. I mean, he's there coaching his son, which sometimes it's like, let him be a dad, right? But I guess when you're Joe Mauer and you're a Hall of Famer and you play for the Minnesota Twins at the time, you don't always get to be a dad. Sometimes you have to be both. So
Was
just
their
super cool.
was their team good?
I don't know. I do know where our Chaska teams played them. I don't know if they beat them or not. But yeah, just and I did. I think I shout out to the cities and the schools and the crew. The fields looked great. They were in great condition. We've been lucky enough. I know rain during the week cancels things, but rain during the week makes it a little bit of a less of a dust bowl out there, which is always good. But yeah, I think the city showed well. You're right. I saw Sunday morning trying to get Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my gosh, I don't go to coffee shops. I'm not a coffee drinker. I was being a very nice husband on record and picking some up. And I sat there going, how do people do this? This place is packed and I'm sick of waiting already. And they were doing a great job. They were working through, but I mean, there was a line outside the drive-through, which could be a mix of a lot of things, but I'll just say people getting their coffee before baseball and stuff like that too. So I think the city showed well. I think it was fun. The association, the 12's kind of on the program, the 12 parents as a fundraiser. So yeah, 56 teams and kind of a good show. So things to come when we think about adding fields and adding teams. My son actually, at one point of conversation, my son asked me because I pointed out that this was at 11s, this is his last year playing in the Chaska Classic, because when you're 12, you run the tournament because that's how you help fundraise with concessions to go on your trip, and then there's no 13s and 14s. And he said, Dad, is the reason there's no 13s and 14s in the tournament is because we don't have enough fields? And I said, yes, that's 100% the reason. We don't, that bigger field, we just are more limited. We have basically Lions could be used there, but that gets used for the 10s. And then you have the one at community as well. It would be hard, the bigger field like Veterans is really bigger for like the 14s.
You can't use the high school?
I don't think, well, high school would be 14s because it's the bigger bases.
Oh,
and
it's
fields.
bigger.
So, yeah, lots of different field sizes. But, so, you know, with the expansion in Southwest, there could be opportunities to add a bracket there, which I think would bring in, you know, even more teams too. So, super fun. But yeah, great weather. It was like masterfully planned, and it was fun to see. It's just always fun to see people coming into your community and, you know, comment. Like we played Bismarck and we talked to their coaches, and they're like, well, where's your high school facility? Where do they play? And is this the main facility? So they had a lot of questions, and I think we're pretty impressed with kind of the makeup of the spaces and the shade. You know, I truthfully love Lions Park's, the remodel down there. That show's awesome now with the shelter and the concessions, and the sounds pickleball in the background, and, you know, park and everything too. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that one. I was
All
thinking
good stuff,
Pioneer.
but
Yeah.
Pioneer's next on the list.
Yeah.
Pioneer's
a nice one.
Pioneer's okay. Pioneer doesn't hold water well.
They
That's the
flood,
problem
they
with
floods
Pioneer.
all the time, yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem with Pioneer.
Unfortunately, Pioneer's not ours.
I know.
Yeah, that's not,
So shout out to the school. But yeah, Pioneer is a great space. It's got shade. It doesn't hold water well. So like last year
Because
when
it's
it rained, actually they canceled that part of the tournament because we couldn't. I spent a lot of hours trying to pump water off those fields, and unfortunately it didn't work. But
With a Dixie cut?
I was thinking it was like a bike pump or something.
I actually, I had a parent tell me that it was the worst weekend he had all last year because he used grounds crew and he took 3 trips to Plymouth to buy pickup loads of 40-pound bags of quick dry because we kept running out of quick dry because you try
Sounds like
out.
a day at Christmas in May.
Yeah, so, yeah, kind of. So, but yeah, great stuff. I just want to give a shout out to all those involved, and again, I think it's just awesome for the city to kind of showcase our facilities and parks.
It would be really cool if we also had a swimming pool with this kind of weather.
It's not hot, it was cold.
Not hot.
No, so, it rained.
Yes.
So,
For
all
another
right,
day.
that's all I have, Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I will talk about that until like, not on
you can go ahead. We
need a
keep
pool.
talking about it.
That's all I have. I'm good.
Great report. All right, Matt.
The only thing I'll mention is, and I put it in bi-weekly too, but a reminder that July 4th fireworks will be on July 1st, which is the Wednesday right before the 4th of July weekend. So we'll be getting out advertisement in the public. The hope is that we'll be able to catch a lot of people before they go out for the 4th of July weekend for that. But
The
You know,
4th is a
personally going
Saturday
on?
this year, though.
yeah, the 4th is on Saturday. The reason we can't have it on the 4th is because it's the 250th, and our fireworks company basically said, "You guys are too small. We have bigger customers that we need to serve for
I
it."
thought it
So
would have been perfect because it was a weekend
Yeah.
to keep it on the 4th, but that
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep. So it would have been cost prohibitive for us to do it on the 4th. So we decided on the 1st, hopefully catch people before they leave for the weekend if it's a long weekend, but we'll be getting out advertising on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think too, I've seen some of the information come out and just a little bit of confusion over like the why. And I think some people are under the understanding that we just kind of last minute went to our regular vendor, was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do fireworks. These things are long in advance, but what happened is that just with the 250th anniversary, it was majorly cost prohibitive, which is really a painful decision.
Well, and
to
we've used the
to
same.
talk about and have to even evaluate. I mean, and that's the thing is that we're just, we kind of got passed by a little bit by our vendor, but.
They're like bonus fireworks. You can go to these fireworks
So-
and you can go to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, there are other.
I mean,
You got Fire and Ice.
one good thing is that the next weekend is Fire and Ice, and we have 2 shows that I'll still put up against our 4th show any day of the week. I
Right.
mean, they're really good 4th of July, or really good fireworks shows. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, we've been working with the same vendor for 26, 27 years. But I get it. I mean, this happens only once every 25 years that people care about it. You know, that, or 50 years
Yeah,
that
maybe it
people care
won't
about
matter
it.
as much for 275, I don't know.
Yeah, but our expectation is we go back to what we have next year.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I just think that was something that was important to touch on, was that wasn't just some sort of like, oh, you know, we just last minute came to them just expecting that they were going to do, and then they were like, sorry, so we went somewhere else. You know, it was, no, this was just going to be plainly cost prohibitive.
Yeah,
we were trying to figure out how do we figure this out? Like, why is this use of taxpayer money? You know, and so it's just painful decisions just needed to be.
Yeah, and I mean, it was something that, I mean, they talked to us about it months ago. I mean, it was in 2025 that they talked to us about it. And we did, you know, sort of toy with, well, do we just pay more? But it was like a lot more.
Matt didn't like my idea of doing a drone show instead, so.
Well, we actually did check out the drone show.
I was like, I don't even know
Light
if you
show,
even.
you could do the light.
Yeah, we checked out sort of the alternatives that were out there, and that didn't really work out either.
Yeah.
So,
No, so it sucks, but it is. But you're right. We do get to enjoy fireworks more than just on the 4th of July in this community. Not to take away from the importance of the 4th, but
Well, and we're still doing them. It's just
we're still doing it.
We're
just
still pivoting.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
And I do know other communities. It's not unusual for communities to do that. Like I know Minnetonka for
Well, Wacone's doing
Plymouth,
theirs on Friday. They're doing it the day before too.
Yep, and I know
Or
Plymouth
whatever.
has done it for years in conjunction with the Minnesota Orchestra, and they'll do it like a non-4th of July day, but it might be like the 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And it's purely a cost thing.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and hopefully folks will be able to enjoy, maybe if they really, like the 4th is the tradition that they can vote, you know, enjoy another community's fireworks for this year temporarily, but still enjoy ours on the 1st, and, you know, next year will be.
Well,
back to
Rob just
normal.
said that all people have to do is just get bigger fireworks to shoot off at their own home. And
I'm sure that
So
he
he can
said
get some
that,
calls
because
from
I'm
people
sure
doing
that
their
he
own
would
well.
just love to be responding to those kind of calls, so be safe, people.
yes.
You only
Okay,
get 10
thank you.
fingers.
Yeah.
For elaborating on that. I think that was important to talk about. Anything else, Matt?
Nope.
Okay. Christoph? All right. Nate?
I'm good.
You're
Thanks
good?
for asking.
Yeah? Elise? All right. Okay, just a couple things. KPMG, the Women's PGA Championship, is coming up between now and the next meeting. So that will be exciting. Lots of fun activities being held at Hazeltine, and just some tourism kind of floating around the area. So I sure hope that visitors make their way through Chaska, eat at some of the restaurants, shop at some of the shops, and just enjoy our Chaska charm out here. So Pride Picnic is on Saturday. Oh, I did not write the date down.
27th.
The 27th. It's at Lions Park this year, so there is a venue change, and it's from 3 to 6 p.m. Still the same kind of thing format as far as just a little bit of music, some arts and crafts, and some, you know, fun activities, family-oriented fun, and so that's down at Lions Park this year. So will there be tie-dyeing again? Okay, of course, the staple of tie-dyeing. I've learned the last 2 years not to volunteer at that table, though. My fingernails couldn't take it. Chaska Cubs, I went to a game. Oh my gosh, it was an exciting game. So if you talk about baseball games, right? So they were playing Shakopee, and they were down like pretty much the whole game by like maybe one run or so. And then bottom of the ninth inning, they tie it up because one of the, I can't remember who, but they hit a home run, right? So I was like, yes. And they put and then another person hit a double, next player, and so they put a pinch runner on there on second, and then the other guy was up to bat, and he hits a really good hit, and the pinch runner starts running, and he was rounding towards third, and then he falls, and it was like, oh my gosh. And so he quick gets up and he starts running towards home and he slid and he was still safe and it was amazing. I mean, it was just electric and they won. It was awesome. So anyways, as you can tell, I went to the game and had a great time. But they had mentioned to me that they do have some upcoming volunteer opportunities for the All-Stars games that they are hosting there. And they also have a golf fundraiser coming up for just the Cub organization. So they said the best thing to do is check out the website for details. So chaskacubs.com. I am plugging it for them. Chris, I hope you're watching. Okay. Fiber optic installation. I just want to touch on this because I got a phone call from a resident, and this is not the first one, and it will not be the last one this summer, who is like pretty confused and frustrated because they had their yards dug up last year and now they're turning around and they're being dug up again this year. And so one of the things I wanted to do was just talk about that. People, if they have questions over fiber optic, that they are always welcome to call. They can call me, they can call the city, and we are always welcome to talk through things. But we also have a web page on our website. It's under City Hall, under city departments, under our engineering department, labeled Fiber Internet Projects, and it is a info page that talks about which companies are working right now, what does it mean to have the right of way, what does it mean to have an easement, and what are some frequently asked questions, because I think that sometimes some of these folks just are like, and they have the companies coming up to them and asking them, like, can we go here and do this? And I just think if there's any questions that we have a dedicated person on our staff, Alex, who can help guide through things. And one of the things is we cannot stop any company from going into the right-of-way. That's part of that for that installation work, but they do have to permit because they do have to do restoration work. And if that is not being done, we will hold them accountable. So please reach out to us.
Where did you say that website was? Just because
it's on our website, but it's under the engineering page, under the city departments, and it's the fiber optics page. So not that I try to pass people off to just an internet page, but it has a lot of really good information on there.
That's good to know because I've gotten a couple.
But there are times when residents have things that they're just like, this doesn't sound right. I just highly encourage them, call, we'll put them in contact with Alex.
Yeah.
Alex gets back to them really quickly and a lot of times can help sort through those issues that otherwise, can get people confused or angry or
especially
whatever.
When you have somebody that's a subcontractor that's out there and they're like, well, I don't know, you're just supposed to sign this. And it's like, my boss isn't here. And it's like, no, everyone needs to slow down and make sure it's something that's supposed to be happening. So, okay, so that's it. Otherwise, next meeting is June 29th and no meeting on July 6th. I think I just want to mention that now. But anybody have anything else for the good of the group? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Oh, and happy Father's Day. All right, so I have a motion from Councilmember Hatfield.
Martin thanks you now.
I know. He watches these. But yes. Okay, so a motion from Councilmember Hatfield.
Second.
And a second from Councilmember Gra. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you got one more meeting to go.
We do have an EDA meeting, but I don't think you're obligated to have to stay for that.
I will make
out.
sure, you should make sure your troop leader knows that you stayed.
Yeah,
a
lot of them do dip out before.
They do dip out.
Or they got lucky last week with a 10-minute one.
Yeah.
23 minutes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to go right into, and I'm assuming unless lights flicker in this room from Krista, we are okay to go right into the Chaska Economic Development Authority here. So I call this meeting to order for the Chaska EDA. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hatfield.
Here.
Commissioner Benish.
Here.
Commissioner Shevlin.
Here.
Commissioner Gra.
Here.
President Hubbard.
Here. Okay, so, all right, that moves us on to the adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions or additions to the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Benish.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Hatfield. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All All right, agenda is adopted, and that moves us along to approval of the previous meeting minutes. These meeting minutes were from May 4th of 2026. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Motion to approve previous meeting minutes.
All right, so I have a motion from Commissioner Shevlin
Second.
and a second from Commissioner Gra. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, previous meeting minutes are adopted. And then that moves us along. We have two discussion items tonight. First is 5A, which is approval of the purchase agreement with the American Legion for property.
Madam President and Commissioners, the item in front of you tonight has to do with our City Hall Plaza work that we're doing and property that we've been working to try to incorporate into that. I will turn it over to Nate, who can talk about what property we're getting.
All right. President, Commissioners, the item in front of you tonight is a purchase agreement with the American Legion. Generally, you can describe it, and I'll show a visual soon. As the walkway area that goes behind the American Legion building, kind of between the History Center and the American Legion, there's a fence that blocks off some HVAC and other mechanical equipment that belongs to the Legion. So in exchange for that property, well, I guess let me back up. The reason why we're doing that is part of the City Hall Plaza Improvement Project. That area that I'm talking about generally functions as the plaza, and so that'll be part of those improvements. Currently, the Legion owns that property, and the city has access to it with an easement. To kind of right-size that ownership to the use, it's more of the public plaza use that happens there than it is Legion use. It makes sense to transfer that ownership to the city and to the EDA. It also helps with the financing for the project so that the property that's being improved can be pledged against the bonding for the project. So we've worked with the Legion throughout the process to create a purchase agreement where the city or the EDA would gain ownership of that property, and it's really kind of a trade in exchange for improvements to that fence that lines up against that HVAC and screens it from the users of that public space. We'll make improvements to that, and therefore we'll swap that property. An easement will remain in part on that property to allow for the Legion to continue to have the outdoor seating that they have and ensure that they're able to do that going forward. In some degree, it's a little bit redundant because we allow users downtown to utilize city space. La Hermosa is an example. There's no formal agreement there with them, but in this case, it'll formalize that ability for Legion. That was important for them to make sure that they can do that. So let me just share quickly so you can see clearly the property that we're talking about. So you can see the American Legion property outlined in red here. The acquisition area is this orange hatched space that generally aligns with the walkway area that currently exists today. So that's it.
All right.
If any questions, we're just looking for a motion to authorize the city administrator, well, you'd be the executive director in this case, right? And the president to sign the purchase agreement. And then we'll move forward quickly in the next couple of weeks to execute on that closing.
Does anybody have any questions for Nate or comments? I mean, I appreciate the work and effort. I think it's been great. American Legion's been really great to work with in regards to this whole project, and I think the improvements are mutually beneficial for the activation of the plaza as well as just some of the screening and elements that will be a benefit to them over there as well. So I'm really glad that this worked out and we're able to kind of have a, kind of a more finished product out here with the plaza as part of that. So thank you to the Legion for being a great partner in this.
Agreed.
I know, I'm kind of running out of steam here. Okay, well, all right. Since there's not a ton of discussion other than appreciation, I would entertain a motion to authorize President and Executive Director to sign the purchase agreement.
So moved.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hatfield.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Benish. Any other discussion? Am I pausing here? Okay, I'm gonna just take like a 30-second pause for all commission members. No, you're okay. So there's a motion on the floor and a second for authorization of the president and executive director to sign a purchase agreement between the city and the American Legion for the plot of space that is over here in the plaza to help with the plaza improvements.
Yep.
So, okay. All right. Any questions? Okay, any discussion? All right, with that, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, and then that moves us on to our second action item, which is 5B, adopt the resolution EDA 2026-58, ratifying the sale of the Chaska EDA Series 2026 Adjourn bonds.
So I will make this one really simple. It's the exact same thing you heard in the council meeting. And we have to have the EDA also adopt or execute on the bonds as well.
Sure, so Noel doesn't want to give up the presentation one more time because it was so good. And you know that I know you know that he's going to end up somewhere in like 10, 15 years or whatever.
Retiring.
No, up here to do, because it was so riveting up here, but
Yeah.
no. All right, well, that being, to be said that we had just talked over this series, so I don't know if anybody has any burning questions that weren't addressed in the first go-around, otherwise this is pretty easy. So motion to adopt the resolution 2026-58.
So moved.
All right, so a motion from Commissioner Hatfield.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Benish. It's like Groundhog's Day over there. All right. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. I can bang the gavel one more time tonight. All right. And that leads us on to other business. Does anybody have anything that they would like to discuss EDA related? All right. I'm hearing tons. So if that's not the case, then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right, motion from Commissioner Benish.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Shevlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Good night, everybody.
Yep.